escape. When you're walking on the moon, walking on the moon, chase your happy place. It will change your groove when you're dancing on the moon, dancing on the moon. When we dance again, all our trouble seems to fade away. This is how I feel when you take me to some levels that I've never been. When we dance again, all our trouble seems to fade away. This is how I feel when you take me to some places that I've never been. When we dance again, that I've never been, that I've never been, that I've never been. Walking on the moon. One moment to escape. When you're walking on the moon, walking on the moon, chase your happy place. It will change your groove when you're dancing on the moon, dancing on the moon. When we dance again, all our trouble seems to fade away. This is how I feel when you take me to some levels that I've never been. When we dance again, all our trouble seems to fade away. This is how I feel when you take me to some places that I've never been. When we dance that I've never been, that I've never been, that I've never been.
It's Thursday night, and you know what that means. It's time for the Newell and Week 7 of the Amazon University Esports Teamfight Tactics Spring 2021 Championship. My name is Mars Swan.
And my name is Counterfeit.
And alongside Patrick, or Poggers Patrick in production. It's time to get into week number 5 of TFT alongside our sponsor Unite Students, Logitech G and Twitch Students. You can also join us for this particularly special week of Teamfight Tactics.
That's right, not only is it the penultimate week of the season, we've got something extra for you guys because we're going to be bringing you 1.5 times as much TFT tonight than any week before.
That's 3 games tonight, 3 games next week, 2 games to make up for from week 2's debacle that happened, making this the start of the most important 2 weeks of the season.
And remember, our players are playing to be in the top 8, which is where the prizes are. £500 of Amazon vouchers, a pile of RP, and little legends. So going into these 2 crucial weeks, we need to really get a handle on what is going on overall before we start our first of our 3 games.
Yeah, those little legends are the most important thing, really, Counterfeit. I have to agree. It's all I'm playing for here. It's all I'm here for. Anyway, let's go over to those standings. We've already got group number 1 over here, but the standings here. Salfalador at the very top is still leading. He's been leading the charge since the very top, and last week he was also our point of view player, and we saw him play this Dragon Soul comp for the first few rounds.
Oh yeah, I mean, and of course, you know, they still had some elements of that Dragon Soul left over when they went into Chosen Mage and got that perfect item Aurelian Soul. Certainly a player to be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, first into a third. Expectations for this week, Counterfeit, for you?
I think Salvador's doing really good stuff right now. We haven't seen any signs of them slowing down, so I fully expect to see him do well this week as well.
Let's talk about Hermit, because they've been a player that has been all the way up there, back-to-back second places last week. Really strong showing them, put themselves into second in the standings as well, and they had some very strong compositions.
Yes, I mean, they've been almost there so far. For Hermit, we've certainly seen a lot of them so far this season. I think they've gotten very close to first a bunch of times, last week included, but maybe this is Hermit's night.
Jai is number 3rd, and they're new to the top of the standings, but they've had a stellar performance for the last 2 weeks. We've had them in Game 2 on stream. They had a Swain 3 Counterfeit.
Yes, and of course, we're very familiar with 3-star 5 costs here at the Newell. It's all we have every single game. I mean, that was an incredible Dragon Soul team. There's nothing that stands in the way of the Swain 3.
No, except if you are the battle of the Sir Salty and Sir Bobs. Just 1 spot between them, 3 points separates them, and Sir Bobs was, our last season's champion, just ahead of Thameslow, and has mostly been at the very top of these weeks.
For sure, I mean, Sir Bobs has shown great consistency between seasons, even though, as anyone who's talked to them will attest, they are extremely humble about the whole thing. But yeah, they're not right up at the top right now, but they are still pretty darn close.
Oh, they're fighting to get back there. I mean, the other Sir of the 2 Sirs is Mr. Sir Salty, obviously former caster for the Newell, TFT extraordinaire, and, he plays a bunch of other games, Battlegrounds, Hearthstone, and he's already got a challenger with him now grinding TFT properly, and immediately back at the top of the table.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be our POV player through all 3 of our games here this evening. We're going to be able to dive pretty deep on their style. And I think this, it's really exciting because they are the player who's come from slightly middling to upper performances to having this big leap up, as you said. They've got their own personal accomplishments. Now they put all their focus onto TFT.
And they're having the performance. Let's go over and have a look at the post-game breakdown for game number 2, which was the game that was featured. And this is where that Swain 3 is showing up. You just get to look at this composition, Counterfeit, and what more could you ask for outside of having everything tier 3?
Yeah, I mean, when you've got yourself a Samira with a full item set, by itself you're thinking, hey, I'm probably gonna win. When you add on a Swain with, admittedly, not the world's most damaging items, but when you're a 3-star, you don't care, especially when you're a mage Swain as well. I mean, you're doubling up on that health, you're doubling up on that damage, and even with, again, just defensive items, you're an absolute nightmare to deal with.
I mean, let's go a little bit further down. So Falador, with this mage composition, this was the point of view for Aladar and Viperoon, our fellow duo casters, and this looked almost nutty, like kind of the perfect composition, and they didn't win. How crazy is that?
Yeah, I mean, well, you look through all of our top 3 there, and to an extent, Temlod's our second place from last season in fourth as well. There's a whole lot of legendaries in the mix, so we're definitely looking to see how these late games goes. But we've got our first of our 3 games here this evening. Of course, our thanks to one of our sponsors for this evening, Unite Students, as we get things underway.
Absolutely. Thank you over to Unite Students, as well as our other 2 sponsors of Logitech G and Twitch Student. We're going to be watching Sir Salty, as I've said, that streamer. But where is the kind of objective so far? Where's the metagame going at the moment, Counterfeit, and what are you hopeful to see?
Well, that is the question, I think, coming into this evening.
Only hot takes here. Only hot takes.
Well, hot takes and a hot fix, Marswan.
Oh!
Because we're on 11.6b. That's right, we've had changes. The world has changed. Not a ton, but perhaps enough.
So what's some of the big changes that we should be expecting to see? How might one of these few changes actually affect the metagame in the Null?
Well, I mean, there's only the 4 changes, so we can pretty much go through all of them while we wait for things to really kick off here. Right, we've got Tristana 3, losing 10 of her on-hit damage, which isn't a massive number, but she is attacking, a lot during the course of any given round. So it has been a popular composition for a lot of people. Maybe, just maybe, it drops off a little bit. Okay,
so Tristana is the first one. I believe Nico lost a lot of damage at all levels, right?
Oh, no, she gained damage.
Oh, that's
so yes, the opposite of the Teemo here. Fabled has been sort of, the unpopular comp for a little while, so we are living in the shadow of that Vanguard nerf on the previous patch, where the Vanguards lost magic resist at every level. I don't know if Miko just having a bit more damage solves any of the fundamental problems for that kind of composition, though.
Okay, one of the other ones was Kale. 10 less damage at 2, 50 less at 3. We all know that 3-star just isn't out of the question. We've seen it destroy lobbies.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that is definitely going to make a difference. I mean, we'll, as you'd expect, we're expecting to see, a lot more Kale 2-stars than we are 3-stars. But the Tristana nerf of 10 damage wasn't that big of a deal because most of Tristana's damage actually comes from physical anyway, just from the regular auto attacks. But for Kale, losing 10 damage on each one of these hits is going to be a larger part of her damage profile. So I don't know if she's going to be as prevalent as she has been in nearly every other week.
And as we see, Sir Salty is almost done with all of the rounds. Just before we go into the first one, we have Mage 7 to cover.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that is a pretty small change. It's just Mage 7 getting a little bit less spell power. I think people were maybe expecting Aurelion Sol to get nerfed directly because of how popular they have been, but I don't see this making a massive difference here.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see how that goes out. As we see, we've got 3 brawlers out here with that Tristana on the backline for Sir Salty. They've committed the bow, but to be seen the full direction. They got a very early Nunu, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's fantastic, especially if you can put together the 4 brawlers early on. That's a ton of extra health, that's a ton of extra damage. I can easily get the win streak going.
Yeah, Vi, though, still with her ultimate, is able to do absolutely huge damage, and Nidalee just can't do anything, so bye-bye, bye-bye. And Sir Salty already got his economy going. 10 gold to get that extra 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you really want to be starting with. You've got a strong level 4 start, you've got your economy rolling, you're looking at now just to, find your 4th brawler, and that's exactly what you've done right there. But, what's this? It looks like perhaps Sir Salty has got something else in mind. They've got a Shyvana in the shop! Surely you don't go away from brawlers at this point.
I mean, I would go all in, if you ask me, but it's chosen duelists, and it's a Jax, and Jax is very powerful. You have a lot of versatility and adaptability with Jax. You've already got this 2 Divine, 2 Brawler, 2 Duelist. This looks like a very strong composition to at least get you going, getting those early wins.
Oh, for sure. I mean, at this point, yes, you can't get necessarily the chosen brawler you were looking for, so it's definitely not out of the question as, hello, who's this? Sir Boss from before. They've got themselves an early Dragon Soul setup.
Battle of the Sirs, but one of these people has 3 units and one of them has 4, and typically a number raw advantage wins the early game, and it remains true. So far, Sir Salty is still Mr. 100ing, but it's a bit early to be calling it that, as 1/3 of the lobby is currently 100.
Oh yeah, I mean, getting those win streaks going is extremely important. I think that's what Sir Salty's doing here. Interesting that they haven't used any of their item components yet, even in an individual basis, to keep that going. As we glance around, we can see there actually is a Brawler player already in play, so that might put a bit of a dampener on that idea for Sir Salty of using this early Nunu to go into Brawlers themselves.
Yeah, I mean, Hermit, who's also sitting at 100, has got a chosen fortune, or had just got 3 fortune naturally, so it's going to be interesting to see that. What we saw Sir Salty do is push to 5, not really getting any more stats, just wanting 5 units, as we see Zhai here at 4 units, but only has 3 units to put in. So you can't even put an extra 1 in. They're fully going for the 20 gold economy strategy.
Yeah, I mean, and they did extremely well. This is the player who was able to get that 3-star Swain before, and the way you get that is to make sure your economy is absolutely top-notch.
So, Sir Salty's still leading the charge. However, this is a kind of the early power spike. He went for the Chosen. That was the most powerful Chosen at this exact time frame. Well, what could be some of the developments, kind of the expected composition changes that we'd see from Sir Salty throughout this game?
Well, so I think Sir Salty's item that they get here is going to be pretty important, because they've got currently just a tier and a bow, which would make a static shift, which is definitely not enjoying it, sort of favoured status. I think they would love to get a Negatron cloak to allow for Runan's Hurricane, and that's what they're going to get. This does play into what they've got most of right now, which is Brawlers. Shyvana needs that Runan's.
Shyvana, the big dragon lady, she'll ultimate, and then with that Runan's Hurricane, it really starts to output huge damage. What are some of the other items you'd want to have for Shyvana? Ooh, that's an early drop from everybody. Let's see what Sir Salty gets.
Okay, so we've got some interesting stuff here. So we presumably, if we see the Runans getting locked in, and we will, I think we should be expecting to see this win streak continue on from Sir Salty for the time being. The Ludens, which is the remaining item components, probably isn't exactly what they're looking for. But we'll see. If they go up against Yasin, that'll leave us with only 1 remaining winning player, and we will!
We'll get to decide which one. One has gone full on into the Warlords with a Janna 2 as well. Damn, this Yasin, your composition is rather strong, but this Jax has already divined up and gone, hey, I've got everything going for me. Shyvana on the backline is outputting huge damage, and I think it's already over counterfeit. Good showing for Sir Salty so far.
Yeah, very, very strong stuff. So, as you said, leaving them as the only remaining undefeated player in the lobby. Notable in the last one, Nico is, with her buffs, which we mentioned before in the hotfix, she's being used as an AP item carrier a lot more now.
And is that something that you can do more often now with Nico that you weren't able to do before?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's just, she's just better with them. With the higher numbers on her skill, she's getting more benefit out of that spell items because it multiplies up your base damage. So the bigger your base damage, the bigger the multiplier works.
So is Fabled a viable composition again? Can I get excited to play my Cho'Gath once again, or is that still a far distant cause?
Well, I mean, it's possible. I've gone in on Fable before as saying, it's a competition that's so incredibly risky to play because of having really just that Nico as your primary damage source, but it has worked out before and I've been forced to eat my words, so we'll see as Sir Salty puts their win streak at stake against Sweet Summer Day.
It's really impressive to see how this Jax just doesn't work for the composition, but does exactly what he needs it to do, and just be a very tanky frontline. Those ultimates coming from Jax has been game-winning for them, and the emote spam coming out as complimentary among Sirs to anybody that they come across. They must emote at them and say, hey. But one thing I'm noticing here, Counterfeit, Sir Salty hasn't been able to level up any of his units so far. He's really going in for the economy strategy. And there's a Nunu and Willem that he has decided to pick up. Which direction is he going? Is he going for this Brawler because he's got the Shyvana? Is he maybe going to consider doing something else because of this chosen Jax?
Well, I mean, at this point, with the Runan's Hurricane does kind of lock you out of basically any of the AP, sort of spellcaster routes, because it's just not going to do very much for that kind of composition. I think with what we've got right now, I think what we're seeing from Sir Salty is they found a Chosen in this Jax that was strong enough to carry them through these early rounds. As even said, they're not a brawler, but they, as a duelist by themselves, they're buying time for Shyvana to kill the rest of the board.
Some of the most broken thing you can do in this game is with a spatula, and Sir Salty has just been given one. So, hot take questions only here on TFT. what would you want to see coming? Obviously, another Spectre is the obvious answer, and just go Force of Nature, win lobby, Keck W, 10 units, easy time, easy life. You can't always have that. So Salty's pushing to 6, keeping himself at 40 gold, and then coming over here. Well, actually, no, he just ticked over. I'm an idiot. So it doesn't matter. He's thinking about that Dragon Soul. Oh, why just committed?
Yeah, I was wondering if we would maybe see a duelist spatula here, but yeah, putting in the brand means that we've got all of that going on. The Jax is going to do extremely well with that one. You'll be able to just sit in the middle and proc it again and again. They're getting the duelist stacks. They're attacking a whole heck of a lot. It's a big play in from Sir Salty to, they've definitely diverted away from what we maybe had expected. But, I don't know, I'm curious to see where they go. They're undefeated right now, so they are rolling in money.
I mean, that is just one opportunity you can do. Power as much as you can early game, get really late into the lobby. He's got to 50 gold now, and if you've got 50 gold, you've got the win streak going, it's a lot harder to lose than it is to win.
So we do see Star Falador just briefly there. Looks like they are going to be going for the Aegon Tristana approach. So again, having received multiple nerfs in previous patches, and another nerf in this patch, it seems like people are still trying to go for it. Honestly, I'm not surprised. It's, I suspect, still a very, very good comp.
Well, Sir Salty still hasn't been able to upgrade any of their units. They're still relying on this Chosen Jax to kind of carry them through everything. But the rest of the lobby haven't got super mega powerful units already, as it is the minion advantage, the level advantage. It still seems to be working for Sir Salty.
Yeah, I mean, this Jax is doing ridiculous stuff, and particularly up against the sharpshooters there, because once Jax is activated, he's going to be blocking all of the shots through there, as well as Dragon Souling onto them as well. Star Falador has a very good beginnings, but uh-oh, it's even more Dragon Souls!
You can KO a Dragon Soul. Is that something you'd want to do?
I mean, we don't see the Dragon Soul spatula too often. I suppose if you can get the Dragon Soul onto her, that would certainly work. She wants spell power, she wants attack speed. I don't know. I mean, what we've got at this point doesn't draw out the eventual possibility we could still see Sir Salty going in towards Brawlers eventually, because the Brawlers, they've still got access to Dragon Soul primarily through Shyvana, and there are the two Nunus in play, so Salty, I think, is still fairly open.
And we're seeing Temslow here over with the Cultist. Have to wait and see. A huge damage the moment that Galio came down, and this is going to be the first loss. Sad kitty emote. Absolutely. The one thing I am impressed in is Sir Salty's emote game. What's your favorite emote counterfeit?
Oh boy, I think mine is the sad crab, because, it's just such an existential crisis you can have through an emote, and that's really what I'm looking for.
What do you think my favorite emote is?
I couldn't even begin to imagine.
Well, we're at a place where we have a little bit of downtime, and I will tell you right now, it's Rakan laughing, because it's one of the most BM emotes to just spam at people, because they just look at it and go, "Oh, you're just laughing at me constantly." And I'm like, yes, I am, because I just schooled you upon me diving your turret and dying. So hey, it's just how it goes sometimes. So Salty is going to be last pick here, and he's got kind of slim pickings, really.
I mean, this is the price of success. Though Sir Salty is no longer undefeated, Yassen, the one now with the main win streak. I'm kind of curious to see where we go with this one, because I'm trying to narrow down in my mind where these competitions could be. I mean, with the Dragon Soul spatula, we're going to have Dragon Soul in some capacity in it, but whether we see an attempt at, say, 6 Dragon Soul, or if we just have it as a side to a different comp altogether, remains to be seen.
There is a Braum here, allowing them to pick it. That Kale got picked up. I was thinking maybe
wow.
we'll go for Kale too, but immediately we're going for that redemption. Is there dark technology around this redemption that I'm not aware of? Or is this just Sir Salty kind of showcasing something that he's learned upon climbing all the way to Challenger?
Well, it's a curious thing to go for here, because Jax a lot of time against a lot of these competitions will be the last one to die, meaning the redemption doesn't end up doing anything at all. But I think what we've seen from Sir Salty all game long is just aggressive use of items, aggressive use of levels. I mean, they're trying to keep themselves as healthy as possible and try and make sure that even if they don't top 1 by having perfect items, they should at least finish the lobby strong.
And that redemption came in incredibly clutch there, healing multiple units up immediately during the second Aurelion Sol ultimate that came through here, which allowed his team to actually get the W over the Aurelion Sol. It immediately paying off, and Sir Salty showcasing that he knew some technology. However, he's immediately selling that Chosen and going for something else. He had the opportunity of going for Chosen, Brawl, and Nunu there. I'm not surprised he decided to go past it, but what kind of thing is he looking for? I have to imagine this Chosen Yuumi is just kind of a fill gap for the time being.
I mean, this is what you can do at level 7. It's just, find your 3-cost Chosen that does something useful. Okay, so we finally get to see. So if it wasn't going to be Shyvana, it was probably going to be the Olaf, because of having a relatively similar item set. So, yeah, the Rudan's Hurricane goes on to Olaf. We'll have to see what else gets added on there. But I kind of like what we've got going here for Sir Salty. They may not be winning unbeaten anymore, but they've certainly played as strong as they could have.
Unfortunately, they weren't able to do that, but they had spent a lot of money, hadn't got everything perfectly out just before the fight starts. They might have missed out on a minor tidbit of damage, but still sitting at the very top of this table. Well, not the tippity top, but near the top. And so far, so good. I mean, compared to where the rest of the lobby is, Sir Bob's is currently sitting at 60 HP. Sir Salty 20 above, and I mean, only 2 players really kind of slogging it down in the very bottom. Everybody else, this is still a very competitive lobby as it is, and we're only at 3-7. We haven't even hit 4-1 yet.
We can see Sir Salty a little bit curious as to what's been going on with Chia. Here is currently at the very bottom with only 30 health
you got another
remaining.
spatula.
Oh, well.
That's unfortunate. Is it unfortunate, or does he just keep this and hope for another Dragon Soul?
Well, I mean, there's always a possibility. Let's see. So we've got Ward, and we've got the potential to go in towards Elderwood. I don't think either of those are particularly appealing right now for Sir Salty. So this could be a spatula that ends up going unused. There is always a possibility we might see some other bits and pieces come in here. Let's see. What have we got? Assassin. I don't think this comp likes it, honestly. It's Sir time.
It is the Sir Mirror Match time. Let's see this. That is a Sivir that has got some huge items counterfeit. Whoa. Deathblade and more.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is pretty brutal. I mean, we haven't had a chance to talk about Deathblade so far, having received a few changes. I mean, Sharpshooter gives you a lot of ways to proc it, having Rudan's Hurricane as well, and the Guardian Angel as backup. I think this is Sir Bob's has got a competition to watch here.
Could be something that will scale up later on. Does immediately grab... sees a Tryndamere, grabs a Tryndamere. I imagine we'll be seeing a sell of this Nico and just rolling up again, waiting to fight as he had done with Yuumi. But maybe I'm a liar. Maybe I have no idea what I'm doing.
You gotta believe in yourself. As a small note to Sir Bob's, which I'm sure we'll come back to later on, I would assume that Sivir is going to eventually become an Olaf in the same fashion that Sir Salty has got here, just because of the Runans, but we'll see. We'll see. Up against Hermit here, who looks like they are running themselves a little bit of Dragon Soul as well.
Oh, they've got a Katarina that was immediately able to go into this backline and attack the Nico, who is not even a part of this composition, is only here because of Mystic bonus. So, hey-ho, Katarina, doing your job well here. Let's see if this ultimate is able to pay off. And, yeah, it actually killed 3 different members of Sir Salty's crew. So far, so good for Hermit.
And this is a Katarina for Hermit who doesn't have really too much in the way of offensive items, still able to completely delete everything. This will be a big problem for any of our Olaf players. If they don't have the Guardian Angel, you're so vulnerable to being burst down.
So, with that in mind, should Sir Salty be going in on an Olaf if he doesn't have a Guardian Angel?
I think they're kind of tied to it now.
Okay.
I mean, with the Runan's Hurricane, with the Last Whisper, you're either going this, you could maybe go towards Tryndamere, which kind of has the same problems as well, or you could go towards Sivir. Either way, there's going to be some comp in here that's going to beat you. That's just unfortunately the case with the set at the moment. There's, you can never tell who's going to win from the very beginning.
Just had production inform me, or rather, I finally looked at the notes that production had given us. And I've seen that this was a 5% chance to get the second spatula. And Patrick is suggesting that maybe we should reforge it later, and that is actually a very valid suggestion. We could definitely see Sir Salty reforging the second spatula because it might not actually be useful for them.
No, I can see that. Like, it's tricky. You know, you've got always the hope that you can turn the spatula into something useful, or you'll get a second spatula, and the return on that would be absurd. So the idea of reforging it is kind of throwing in, and you're not guaranteed to find the item you do want. At this point, Sir Salty is also high enough up the table that they're getting a last pick here, and they're definitely not going to be getting that second spatula right there.
That would be number 3 for Sir Salty, which is kind of the insane thing to say, but no, it's immediately going to get taken away. I would say who has taken it, but he is insisting on flicking as many times between, so I can't tell, and he wants to have perfect information. I understand. I believe they went with a GA, or they went with the BF sword, probably going for a GA in the long term.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that Sir Salty has, like I do, the memory of a goldfish, and therefore forgets the second they're not looking at anything. But so, let's see, so what did we end up getting?
Chain vest?
Okay, so that doesn't seem like it's terribly likely to, at this point, get connected with the belt there to form a Sunfire cape, so we could be looking at a Vanguard spatula instead. Certainly the Vanguards have remained, you know, pretty strong, Aatrox being one of them. So, maybe? I don't know. I don't know quite what Sir Salty's got in mind here, but I suspect we'll find out.
And I think it's fair for me to say at this point, it's a bit of a mishmash. Sir Salty has a little bit of a mishmash composition. We've got a Pike that's just chilling in here, because Pike is fun. We've got Slayer, Dragon Soul. It's kind of a mix of stuff, and we're starting to see against your son here a bit of the faux pas and the fall, or the folly, maybe, of Sir Salty's composition.
Well, I mean, you wanted to see Fables, you're getting to see that right now.
I'm happy.
So, we've got the Gunblade on there, which is essential if you're worried about your Nico getting slaughtered. And also a 3-star Garen, it looked like. But, oh, hello, what's this then? Looks like we might be seeing a bit of an upgrade. That Olaf getting to 2-star is massive for Sir Salty. We saw it before. 1-stars, Olafs get dead real quick.
It was either that we just checked in on very briefly. Huge mage, already got chosen mage there. That is going to become backbreaking, as that's a very early chosen 7 mage. Like, that's going to output a huge amount of damage, and they're on a hot streak, and I believe they're on a hot streak of at least 3 or 4 wins now. Well, no, more than 3 or 4 wins.
Temlos is also going for the mages as well. We can see they've got themselves a very strong setup there with the Dragon Soul for the Aurelion Soul, and the Guardian Angel on there as well, which means it's incredibly hard to stop these casts. You can even throw that Aurelion Soul onto the front line to get instant cast across the entire team.
Glad I didn't try and play-by-play that fight that we just saw between Temlon and Sir Salty, because it was just ultimates going left, right, and center. Everything was alive, and then before we knew, it was gone. And something that you have to mention is Sir Salty's going to have to keep you aggressively leveling if he wants to see these tier 5 units, because he's going to make or break around a lot of these tier 5 units, I feel.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the first step towards getting those units is, at this point, trying to find a decent chosen to carry you through stage 5 that's coming up. Because, you know, while we're on 40 health and Sweet Summer Day is only on 2... So people have definitely got it worse. Once we start hitting stage 5, you can take a lot of damage if you lose a round convincingly.
Okay, well, huge items have just come in for Sir Salty. He's got that Guardian Angel that I was kind of questioning towards. I was like, what's going to happen with that? Counterfeit, where are we expecting? Ooh, that's just another Darius if you want it. Do you want it? You brought 2 of them and now you're like hesitant. I'm interested. What do you think?
Well, it doesn't seem like if that's the case for Sir Salty that they're going to be going towards 6 Slayer or anything. We're looking for the Chosen, so Brawler Cho'Gath, this whole game has been Sir Salty getting taunted with, think of the Brawler composition you could have been running this whole game.
He didn't want it. He could, though, go back to this Dragon Soul. There is a Swain that was currently in his shop that he decided to not have a gander over.
Well, that's also surprising. You know, we've seen that Swain is an extremely powerful unit, and especially, you know, as we mentioned before, if you can get them all the way up to 3-star. But I think right now, and we've got the Mage Spat as well. Okay, Swain has been bought. They were just teasing us. Swan. Just teasing.
One thing I was noticing during that game against Sweet Summer Day, who's on that 2 health, didn't perish yet. They also had an Olaf who had who had similar items, except no Last Whisperer. Hand of Justice was on healing and just out-healed everything. That Olaf went so low at one point and then healed all the way back up. I'm very interested to see... Whoa, okay, we just didn't go for another Darius. I'm super interested. We're playing this Darius, but it feels like it's a bit out of place, but now we've got another Swain on our board, so we're just gonna go for that, I have to imagine.
Oh boy.
No?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Sir Salty's been showing us some kind of weird stuff. Okay, there's the Vanguard's Cuirass coming in. So Sir Salty's...
we were Vanguard all along, oh, of course.
I mean, they're showing a tremendous amount of flexibility in their play here. I mean, it's all coming around this Olaf as, like, the main focal point, but Sir Salty's been incredibly flexible, and they actually take a huge chunk out of Sir Bob's, who goes down to 4, so that's now 2 players left, with Sweet Summer Day still in round. They are out of there, first of all.
Commiserations over to Sweet Summer Day. We're going to find out the victor of Temslow and Zhao is able to win that one as well, sitting at 30 HP. And I remember when I touched on them before we went into 4-1 and they were on this hot streak. I'm very worried for the rest of this lobby to actually see what Zai is working with, because that's over a 7 or 8 win streak now. They've ran the gauntlet.
Yeah, we were talking about them when they got down to 30 health originally, and that was quite some time ago, so they haven't lost the round since then, and now the rest of the lobby has been kind of dragged down to the same amount. Yasin's the only one standing out amongst the crowd with 82 health right now, so we'll see if we can catch up with them later on. They're running the Fable composition, and perhaps that gives us an answer as to whether those Nico buffs were big enough to make a difference.
You mentioned it. We'll have to wait and see if it's going to turn out. Though Sir Salty doesn't look like he's winning this one against Sir Falador, and it was a little bit of a massacre with that Tristana in the backline, which you mentioned received some nerfs at level 3. Doesn't seem to be affecting Sir Falador here.
I mean, yes, it's... I'm not totally certain on these numbers myself, but from what people were saying, the Tristana damage is about 90% of it is just her physical damage anyway, so once she's itemized, the nerfs don't matter. It's really before she's itemized that's a major part of her damage profile. And the good thing about having this composition nerfed, the Tristana one, is it means people are just going to go for it a lot less, making it much, much easier to get up to 3-star. And if it's not contested, as we saw, Sir Falador with that composition, they're in second, and they are destroying.
With Sir Salty getting that loss, the second loss of 5-3, we also lost the other Sir of this lobby.
No!
Fell! And what a disappointment, because we had such high hopes for them. And again, another chosen brawler of Shyvana appearing in Sir Salty's lobby, really showing that it's like, you should have gone for Brawler, mate, or something. I'm interested to see how this blue buff is going to get reforged into a Giant Slayer.
I mean, this is not something you want early on, but at this point in proceedings, you couldn't ask for more. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a Vanguard Spatula on the Samira, but it's going to make her very hard to put down, so she'll get the time to be able to cast, and it's up against top of the table Yasin.
Okay, let's see how this fight goes out. Huge ultimate comes out from Cho'Gath, knocking everybody up, but this Olaf is just chaining through everything. Heals and shields and going through it, but is it going to be enough? It's going to be a big question. That redemption getting procced really does help kind of stem that bleeding going out, and it's in a 1v1 scenario, and no one beats an Olaf in a 1v1 if you know League of Legends' current metagame.
That's where I get all of my TNT inside Surly. I mean, one of the things we saw there, and one of the problems for the Nico composition is that when Nico is and the Fables, they're hitting multiple targets, it's great. But once you get to that late game where there's only a few targets left on the board, Nico's effective damage drops like a brick, and you just can't get enough damage to kill off the Olaf at that point when they've got the Guardian Angel.
Hermit has got a 2-star Lee Sin. We're coming into this one. He's also got 2-star Yone. It's going to be huge damage output. That Pike has gone straight to the back end, but multiple units are just getting taken out and taken so low so quickly early on for the side of Sir Salty, and before we knew, he was gone.
Oh my gosh, Sir Salty and Sir Bob's joining each other in the bottom 4, and Wow, that was really surprising. I mean, we are at the very top table here today in the first of our 3 games, so expect to see tons more explosive action this evening, but I think we generally saw some very, very good play out of our top players. Somebody's got to go out in 8th, though, and somebody, in this case, Salty, needs to go out in 6th.
So Salty giving us the heads up in chat there. Needed to roll a little bit more, they believe, but they were never going to win anyways in their eyes. So a little bit of self-doubt, but sir, you are a challenger. How can you have any doubt? You're looking for Omni to sing on stream. You need to win. Okay, there are far bigger things outside of you winning here and getting top first place of the Newell. We need you to get the administrator for TFT to sing on stream for us. Okay? It's okay.
That's the secret prize that wasn't listed on the page.
It's the main prize.
Honestly, I have to wonder what goes on in those captains meeting for our TFT. So, in big news, Yasin moves up to level 9 with that Fable composition. So, though we're seeing, like in the case of Hermit here, double Last Whisper, which should deal with the Vanguard frontline of Fable very well, I still think Yasin is a major threat, and maybe looking for a top 2.
Have to wait and see. Zai did just get did actually lose their streak. They're at 14. Remember, they had been sitting at 30 HP for such a long amount of time, and they were able to run the gauntlet once, but it wasn't good enough. Was looking from their perspective here, and they fell. Hermit is just kind of dominating through everybody. This level 2 Samira, this level 2 Yone. This is a composition that is actually popping off at the moment, but if you look at your left-hand side of your screen, you wouldn't assume that.
I mean, one of the difference makers here, I think, for Hermit is they're getting the Ornn items in. So
Infinity finished as well. Oh my god, top 3 already.
Yeah, $10 is gone. So leaving Stefalador, Hermit, and Yasin. We've got ourselves very closely adhering, but you mentioned before, Hermit is on the win streak. I think they pretty much got everything they want. They don't actually have the Guardian Angel for the Olaf, but right now they've got so much damage, so many 2-stars. They're even brewing an Azir 2-star on the bench as well.
Yeah, this is a composition that is all around the 5 drops, all around the top of the table, and see how this goes in against your son, who has been kind of running most of this lobby as well. They also have a Yone, but it's not tier 2. And this Samira that you have talked about that had a huge option has just gone straight onto the backline and removed every member of your son's composition, it felt like. But this is the battle of the Yones, and they're fighting, they're constantly going, but in second Samira ultimate, and that is just going to be too much. Hermit gets your son down to 29 health, and Self-Aldor also lost to a ghost. Oh me, oh my, I think Hermit might have the comp.
Yeah, I mean, right now they are on the absolute trajectory to first place this lobby. It's just, I'm saying, while they don't have any cash left in the bank, they've pretty much got everything they want for now. I think between Yasin and Stefalador, it's really just a case of hoping that the RNG turns their favor and they're able to get that one win which keeps them from coming third.
You have to win the games to get the first place, and without those wins, it's going to be a bit more of a struggle as we come in to see Hermit against the ghost of Self-Falador.
Yes, we get to see if the Tristana still lives up in the very, very late game, and I think, honestly, she does, which is the really bizarre thing about having this one cost carry that can still fight at the very end and win against Hermit.
So, Self-Falador loses to... Okay, so how this works is... No, because Self-Falador just beat your son as well. Okay, so I don't quite know how this works. Flip a
everyone
coin.
Beats
Let's
everyone.
Look at it.
Well, I mean, what did come out of that whole thing is that Self-Falador did, we're not losing there. It means we don't know for certain who is going to be coming out on top here, because it's going to really depend on who ends up playing it too. That last game was incredibly close. This last item could turn the matchups. Anyway.
Yone 2 over for Yasan. Self-Falador getting Teemo number 3, so really emphasizing and going even further and leaning harder into this. This Yone has got a Trinity Force from when they were running those Ornns, but decided to sell the Ornn when they didn't need it anymore. And coming into this next fight, Who do you think's gonna win? Do you think Hermit's gonna have this? Do you think your son is powering up enough in between it? Or is that golden Teemo going to be too much for Salvador?
I'm feeling like Salvador might actually be able to pull this one off here. It was incredibly close the last time round, so I don't... The only problem that Salvador has gotten is I don't think their composition can get tremendously stronger, whereas Hermit's can.
And Hermit just showed how we can get so much stronger. The Samira also kind of played it around going out. Your son is out and over, and that was the ghost of Hermit. And so, as it stands, I think Hermit might have this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. Salvador has officially peaked in the lobby, but it was winning that round before that kept them at a third. You know, you just needed to win one round at this point by hook or crook. I mean, all credit to Hermit here. They've put together a pretty spectacular composition. And it's all now down to the positioning of the Lee Sin and the response position from Salvador to try and turn the matchup in their favors.
Let's see where the placements go. We're seeing some very quick movements at the last moment. And Salvador versus Hermit, both level 8. 6-6 will be the deciding place unless they somehow draw, which is not possible. Let's see how this works out. Yone immediately goes onto the backline, and this Samira just hasn't been touched. She's been able to kind of go around. The ultimate comes out, and 1, 2, 3, 4 members. Salvador falls, and Hermit wins game number 1 for us here at the Newell TFT Championships.
Wow, that was an exceptional game there. I mean, yeah, we just didn't know who was going to do it till the end. And of course, you know, the bigger thing coming out of that one as well, in a more sort of meta sense, is that we saw a lot of players were willing to, you know, to ignore the changes which they didn't care about, which was Tristana getting nerfed, but also embrace the changes which were working, which is using Fabled as a doorway for Yasun later on into that game.
Yeah, Sam was the only player to actually ting over to level 9. Everybody else decided to stay at level 8. Obviously, Sweet Summer Day didn't have the opportunity to get that late into the lobby. And what's some of the standout things you can really grab from here? I mean, the Lulu for Zai there, obviously going for the mage. 2 mage players actually in this lobby.
Well, it's not the mages which are drawing my attention, Master One.
Okay.
It is a particular coincidence between different players on the bottom 3. There's 3 different Olafs there, fully itemized, all in the bottom 3.
That's a surprising thing. And why do you think that might have happened?
I think it has a lot to do with Salvador. I mean, you're in a lobby where you need your Olafs to stay alive for a given amount of time. When the Tristana gets going, her damage output is going to far outstrip any healing you can do with the Olaf. And we've also got a whole bunch of the Aurelian Souls finishing higher as well. I suspect they had a major part to play in why Olaf wasn't successful in this lobby as well.
Salvador playing a large amount of those tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 units, only splashing for Sejuani at that tier 4 spot, barely even touching it, and was still able to get that second place spot. Really incredibly work. And we even thought that at moments they might actually take this whole lobby. Counterfeit, what's your standout thing to take away from this game number 1?
Well, I think for me, it's Salvador running at Tristana and just showing again that it is the top 4 composition of all top 4 compositions. I think some of that's going to depend on what the lobby is like. And I think in this one, we saw a lobby with a lot of melee carries that when you've got backline DPS, you force these carries to walk all the way across the board to you. And that makes it an ideal matchup.
We'll have to wait and see what changes these players make going into game number 2. Remember, everybody, it's not 2 games today, it's 3, so we're only 1/3 of the way through. I will want to give a shout out and thank you to our sponsors of Unite Student, Logitech G, and Twitch Student. But when we come back after this short break, we'll be back with game number 2 of the Newell alongside Amazon University Esports Teamfight Tactics Spring 2021 Championship. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the desk here. Mars One here, joined by the incredible, this way. Sir, hello.
Hello. Oh, over there. Lovely to see you.
You are the incredible counterfeit. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I mean, after our first game of TFT, though, I'm not sure that some of our Slayer players quite know what's going on, because we had 4 Slayers in that last lobby. 3 of them went in the bottom 3. 1 of them won the whole thing.
So, does that mean it's live or die by the sword counterfeit?
I mean, to be fair, like, I think the thing which I really got out of that lobby as well, as a prevalence of Slayers, which were very good Slayer comps, is we were missing one type of comp which we maybe would have expected before, and that was the Kale.
So what happened with the Kale? Is this due to some of the changes that could have happened? I mean, I'm of the opinion that I think part of the reason that it didn't happen is because Tristano just looked so good in this composition, and the lineup that we saw from Self Alador.
Well, yeah, I mean, Kale, I think, is always, she's always like riding a line between really good and really bad, because, it's a real stat check as to is she doing enough damage to kill the entire opposing team by herself. And I think people are feeling like this recent nerf to her has pushed her very slightly over the edge to, she's not going to manage it, she's just going to get blown up instead.
The other reason is 2 mages in the lobby, as well as also someone that's decided to play Vanguard in Yasen. So this was a few peculiar things, I'll be honest. I wasn't expecting it. And let's actually look towards game number 2, as we will be probably having this lobby that's actually right in the middle of your screen. Look at that. Look how incredible Patrick is. He gets this all up on screen for us right here, right now. Poggers Patrick, Poggers.
Yes, of course.
Are you excited about the most?
Well, I mean, we are seeing some new faces coming in here. Though, actually, wait, no, I might need to take that back.
Helix is here for the first time. We've lost Sweet Summer Day. They're the 2 that have swapped out. Hermit obviously had a stellar performance, so they won't be disappearing. I believe that's the only change here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the reason I sounded confused was I was expecting the top of the lobby to change a bit more than that after the last game, because we had some of our... I think some of the reason for that is that some of our top performing players, were the ones that came pretty low on the standings there. So, Sir Bob's, we mentioned before, previous season champion, was doing pretty well. So even after taking a game which didn't really go the way they wanted to, coming in 7th, they still got enough points banked to stay at the top table.
Well, and that's just part of it. When you have 2 lobbies at the very top, obviously there's lobby A and their sister lobby, lobby B. You can't always have the top players playing in one group, or you're just going to have an awful kind of rain down effect, and you'll only have 3 people at the very top and then everybody else that's just sitting and fighting at these points. Obviously a lobby A and a lobby B, I believe some of the top players are actually doing well. If you just looked at the standings, are actually currently sitting at the very top of lobby B. Coming into this round, as we're waiting for our players to get into game, as we have no control over them, they do as they please as Mundo. And talking of Mundo, who's not currently in the game at the moment, what kind of champions would you like to see coming out in the compositions? We obviously saw almost every tier 5 unit coming out.
Well, I think if you're looking for your top 4s, I think you could do a lot worse than going for the mages. I mean, we saw them come in, 4th and 5th in that last game. I think maybe one of the reasons why the mages didn't do quite as well as you maybe would have expected is when Kale's not in the mix, you've lost one of the potential victims there for the Radiant Soul. The Radiant Soul is very, very good at reaching out across the board and just deleting the Kale from all the way over there. But if the Kale's not in the mix, that's one less good matchup for the composition as a whole. Mage 7 also had a very slight nerf. I don't think that was a difference maker there. I think it's the lobby composition.
So, obviously, a composition we didn't actually see coming out that has actually been doing very well in the metagame, and I believe in meta reports that we commonly talk over, Keeper. No one brought out Keeper. And why do you think that could have happened? I love playing Keeper because it's the safe comp, because you get the shields, you tank everybody and go, well, if I have more shields than everybody else, I should be okay.
I mean, it's certainly Keeper has dropped out of favor quite a lot. I mean, there's still the possibility we see it coming here, but it does seem like it's dropped down in popularity a ton. I don't know. I think coming into Lobby 2 out of the 3 we're playing here today, when you put these games of TFT in close proximity, as we'll be doing this week and next week as well, I think this is when you see the chance for the biggest adaptation. And in Game 2, I'm fully expecting to see that adaptation in full force.
We are now into game. Thank you over to our producer Patrick, who let us know that obviously coverage has been brought to us by our sponsors of Unite Student, Logitech G, and Twitch Student. Game number 2, and we're used to this being the final game of the day counterfeit, but this is the middle one. This is the middle child, and maybe the most important child out of all of them, because this will kind of set up where the lobbies, where the standings are going, and where momentum is, because that's a real part of the mental game of games like TFT, like Hearthstone, like these auto chess battles. A lot of it is momentum based, and who do you think could be kind of gauging the best out of all of this?
Well, I mean, we've seen this happen before, and we'll keep an eye out for it happening again. Stephalador laying their claim in the last game to the Tristana composition. That can, given the fact it came second last time around, you have to think it's going to attract attention, but it's nowhere near as good if multiple people go for the composition at the same time, which can absolutely happen. So I think if you finish strongly in the first lobby, and especially in the second lobby as well, a lot of people are going to be paying particular attention to what kind of comp you're going and trying to avoid it as far as possible.
Have to see how that comes out. Obviously, the early point of this game is just kind of getting the goal game. The units, obviously, we saw Sir Salty, fortunately, get themselves straight up to 10 gold before going into 2-1. I don't think that's going to be happening a second time around for them, though.
Now, there is a lot of variance when it comes to the start, but one thing we are seeing that is consistent from the previous game is the start with the potential to go right into the Runans.
Okay, Runan's Hurricane, that's a huge early power spike, but what champions benefit by using it the most?
I mean, later on, we saw it for ourselves. The Shyvana and the Olaf, maybe even the Samira as well. All great beneficiaries. And early on, the Tristana does a decent job of using it as well. I mean, it's a relatively flexible item, at least in those couple of cases. But I think the big thing from last game from Sir Salty was they were flexible perhaps to a fault.
Well, they can choose to get this Garen, or they can go all in on the Sharpshooter. They have actually got 10... Well, they've got 9 gold sitting currently on their backboard. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So with a win, they wouldn't even have to sell that Tristana. But they... No, they're not going for it. Ooh. Oh, are we going to see Keeper? Yes! Keeper! He's watching the stream. Yeah, so Salty smart. I like it. Big man.
All right,
brain.
there we go. So, Salty, if you want to take advice from us on what the best compositions are, then so be it. There we go. There's the Slam of the Runan's Hurricane with the sword as well. We've already got some pretty substantial parts. Yeah, but note as well for Helix's side, they've got a Runan's as well. I think this is another lobby where the Olaf is going to be likely contested.
We'll have to see how it gets out. We saw that it only really works for one, and when your one is the champion which is chosen, it kind of benefits you. The fact that you're also going to be able to do... I know, Salty, I know, you could sell the Jarvan and Tristana. Don't do that, though. That's bad. That's losing it. That's inting. I know you want it. You could lock... I wouldn't do that either. That sounds really bad as well. Comes into this chosen duelist, or you can just have a Jarvan and a Tristana leveling up. I would take that, and that's what Sir Salty went for.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty solid start, honestly. I mean, the Keepers give you a lot of raw shields, great early on. The 2-starring of 2 units means that Sir Salty is quite likely to go into Carousel with a couple of wins, but crucially, not up at the top of the table, where they would be likely unable to follow up on completing whatever item they've got in mind for that sword.
Well, early stages of this game, it's really hard to see the direction that people are going in unless they have something like Chosen Cultist, which I think we saw from Zai. We'll have to wait and see and double check and see how they're getting in. At the moment, it's Yusen here who's got that Chosen Dragon Soul brand going for Dragon Soul, but don't believe it's going to be enough to even stand up and even take down 1 out of the 4 champions, so it takes max damage from Sir Salty here.
Yeah, I mean, you've spent out the money for your Sir Salty, you've slammed the items, you've done everything you possibly could to give yourself the strongest board. When you send going down to 84 early on, it's going to suffer the consequences. Notable that the Ascend actually doesn't have any gold of their own, so we'll keep an eye out on them.
Well, they've pinged over to 4 as it's contrary. If you don't spend much of your money, you will naturally hit it at 2-3. So that's why we saw the bottom 3, who all seem to be doing a little bit of sandbagging. They've got themselves all 10 gold, so that's at least an opportunity for them. Yes, Sir Soldy, we see that too. Salfalador with the Hurricane, already with the Shyvana as well. Thank you very much for assisting us with that one. That means one player is already well on their way to getting a perfect item Shyvana, and that's one of the big carry comps.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we saw it last game, so Salty kept being offered these brawlers and had the opportunity to run them. Ultimately, though, they valued staying as open as possible, and I think that opened the door to them having ultimately a not very strong performance by the end of the game. This game, though, I think this is a very, very different situation. So Salty's still playing strong, even if they aren't completely unbeaten. They managed to get themselves into the the third wave of picks. So they should be able to do pretty well off this carousel.
The Zailu Baisong is currently sandbagging pretty hard. They've got themselves up to 20, but what they've got on the backboard, which I had almost completely overlooked, is the doubles Nico help. Meaning that when they have the opportunity to get like a 4-cost unit super early on, because that's what they're doing, they are just planning to econ their way up to getting up to the very top of the lobby again. They've done this before. This is how they were able to get that first place win from 1 HP last week. This is how you do it. You get to have priority on the carousels. You also then get to sandbag yourself, and then you just kind of run over the lobby a lot later on. You lose the early game to win the late game.
Oh, for sure. I mean, once we get to those later carousels, we're going to be seeing the 4 and 5 costs on the carousels themselves. So that's going to be an instant ability to turn it into a 2-star of a 4 or 5 cost. So a massive, massive spike. Looks like everybody else in the lobby is getting up to level 5s themselves to join in with Sir Salty. I think we've got a pretty high tempo lobby here with a lot of players spanning out early on. Sir Salty, barely anything left.
Sir Salty has spent all of his money. He has nothing to show for himself, though he could sell this Annie. He does sell the Annie, and it now puts him in a really awkward spot. He wants to econ. I guess the Nidalee just comes in because it does benefit the sharpshooter composition. He goes for the GA and just immediately slams it on. Well, it doesn't really immediately. He just kind of I guess like this is what I have to do. I want to have the best opportunity to win. He's against Hermit, who is doing okay for himself at 94 HP. Huge damage comes out, but it does look like that damage from this Yasuo is going to be a bit too much, and this Tristana, the GA is going to be popped. Is it going to be enough, or will the auto-targeting change? It won't. Can he do it?
Yes, he can.
Yeah, no, it's the Galio, though.
Yeah. You gotta have a little bit more faith, Mr. Swan. So after all that leaves only Temlar's undefeated as a win streak starts to build up, and that's actually the Warlords coming in for Sir Salty as well. So again, they spent money, they've got themselves as much power early on, and I think Warlord helps exemplify that even further.
We've got the Keeper, Warlord, and the Sharpshooter. They are all about protecting the Tristana, and now is the question, which I've been wanting to ask for a little bit, but I was holding off. I was waiting. Is Sir Salty going for the Tristana comp?
No. I can tell you that with some certainty. There's no spirits in here. These are Olaf items if I've ever seen one. Potentially Samira items as well. There is some flexibility in this sort of generic AD item set. But as far as building an actual Tristana comp goes, you just don't need to. Tristana is such an amazing item carrier for pretty much everyone early on. Even AP items, she's totally fine with, like Morello's. So again, Sir Salty is using what they've got. Against Sir Bob's, they actually take a fairly significant loss there, which keeps that win streak. You see, they're not very happy about their win streak being broken.
The win streak being broken, but thankfully they were able to protect themselves a little bit, and it wasn't going to be the 4 or it could have been 6 or 8 damage at one point. They were thankfully able to stem that bleeding, but they've gone in for the Chosen Vi, and this has to just be kind of a stopgap champion. They do have the opportunity of getting that 2-star Teemo, but it looks like they're already kind of giving up on this Sharpshooter comp.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's a very temporary stop-off, and that's what we'll see a lot from our ranked players, is they hold their comps very lightly. I mean, as much as we criticized Salty for it in the previous game, a lot of the time it is the best way to play.
Absolutely, you just want to shave it up as many times as you can. Versatility is sometimes king, and that's why that Sivir, even though they just picked it up, is going to be held on to for a while. Quick Glove put there, I have to imagine, just for power spike reasons, and Temzlo still hasn't died yet, alright? This is a 7-win streak he's gone on now. This ain't okay, someone needs to take him down.
Well, I mean, they've got the cultists, and they have received a lot of attention recently. You know, they're very, very strong in the early going, but if you can get all the way to the late game and get up to 9 cultists, then they spike big again and can carry you through the late game as well.
Dual Gauntlet really paying off its value at this point in time, and I have to argue that Sir Salty, it's taken them a while, but the economy is coming their way. They're not super far from the rest of this lobby, and they're coming against Helix. I'd actually say they're favored now against Helix, because that Yasuo has got so much he's got to chunk through.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think we're at the point now where Sir Salty's feeling actually pretty comfortable. They're you know, dropping occasional rounds, but Tristana is very strong, and the Warlord buffs as well coming in. I think they've just got a lot of raw power, and I think they've done very well to actually duck Temlols up until this point.
The way to see Sir Bobs has just started their hot streak of 3 wins, so they're definitely a player to just be a little wary of. Let's see where Hermit and Yasen end up, and Yasen is able to get the victory. So only really one player that is sitting at the very bottom. Obviously, Yasen is currently sitting at around 70 HP, so he is about 10 HP or 1 loss from the rest of the pack, but it is Zailu Bingsong who is really far away from it. But this is what their strategy is, and it's really fascinating to see a player come into our tournaments over here at the Newell and play just such a different playstyle to everybody else, just refusing to commit.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cheers, you know, doing what the Tristana comp would often tend to do, which is just, you know, if you open fort, you have great control over your economy. Is it says Salty goes against undefeated Temlars.
Now let's see if this dual gauntlet on this Twisted Fate's going to be enough. The suck came in, huge damage was done with the combo of the Galio, and well, that's it. Unlucky, Sir Salty, you got comboed. It's like a TFT game, but if it was League of Legends and Temslo got to perfectly synergize everything, hey, you can't do anything about that one. Sometimes it just works out that way.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, such a smart idea from Temlars. We didn't see a huge amount of cultists in the previous lobby, at least not a major commit in, but yep, they've got what they need to for the time being. I think we might be seeing potentially a move for our POV player, Sir Salty, in towards actually having that Tryndamere be a carry. But right now, they're not making any major moves in. They've got the ability to do it. We'll just see what items they end up with from the carousel.
A big part, in my opinion, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong here, is the fact that I believe Sir Salty is just trying to wait to get to 4-1, 4-2, and then actually sell off this Vi and then look towards to go to something else. Like, it could be at 3-7, the Vi gets sold off, and then whatever Chosen they get is what they go for. Ideally, Chosen Executioner would be obviously pretty good for them. Chosen Dragon Soul obviously is pretty good because of the items that they've picked up as they get a win over Self-Ador here. But I believe that the whole idea is it's a long con game. Everything that we're seeing here from Sir Salty is going out the window at one point or another.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think Sir Salty has really changed very much between Game 1 and Game 2. As you know, we wouldn't expect them to. You know, they play incredibly flexible, and we have to assume that most of the time this approach to the game does work out. It didn't work out in the previous game, but it's such a high level here that we've got 8 players who are all making the right moves. So when everyone's making the right moves, you're not going to get the edge you'd normally expect.
Absolutely. With that all said and done, though, Counterfeit, Sir Salty is currently sitting in 3rd place. They have to be rather happy with their performance. Sure, they're not like Sir Bobs, who's currently on about a 5 or 6 win streak at the moment. Temslo is obviously still hasn't lost. We're at 35. That's an impressive win streak now at this point. When do I start getting to say, without you correct me and going, hey, it's a bit early, Lexi, chill out a little bit.
I would never say that.
When can I start really pioneering Mr. 100 and start really going in on Temslo going, oh, 100%, way, let's go?
It's not out of the question. As we were talking about before.
I like this.
Cultist is very strong through the game, especially if you can keep getting the spikes in when they need to. Oh, there we go. You were talking about the keepers in the previous game. We didn't see them at all. We're actually seeing them here for Chia, who is very low on health already. So they need to win this round or they're going to be plummeting out of this lobby very, very soon.
Have to see how this goes on. I've done a little bit of searching over on to Mr. Sir Salty, who's currently 90th on EU West at the moment. Just
wow.
Give him a little shout out there. 90th. He is challenger, so 90th place at the moment on the lobby. They really enjoy playing this sharpshooter. They have more wins. Well, they have more games played sharpshooter, and they win 30% of the time. They get a top 4 70%. So maybe this is a comfort place where they're arguably going for it. Slayer is actually where they have far more of that, but it seems like it might be a bit harder for them to sometimes get that.
Okay, so coming up on the Wolves, so people with streaks are feeling pretty happy, so Salty would love to get another win here and keep it going up against Hermit, who is currently mid-table. What's looking like some pretty strong generic composition.
Yeah, this Akali, though, has been able to go on the backline. The Janna shield that came out, and it looks like it's actually going to be enough as the second one comes out. The Cultist, it now comes down to the backline versus the front line, but forgot about that. Sir Salty gave Tristana a Guardian Angel, so it was all for naught. Gets that hot streak, and as you said, he gets the extra gold. More gold means more prizes, means more units, means more levels, means more gold.
Yes, gold begets gold. Success begets success. So we've got, right now for Sir Salty, we've got a very nice item set already for a late game carry, which is an incredible position to be in, you know, at the end of stage 3. Everything beyond this point is just a bonus. One thing we are missing here for the Sir, or at least one of the Sirs, is defensive itemization of any kind. You know, the Guardian Angel, very good as a carry protector, but as far as frontline goes, you're relying totally on the HP pools and the Keeper shields right now.
Well, let's see what the items he gets, and that's 1, that's 2 chain vests and a recurve bow. Not really, in my opinion, what he was looking for here.
I would tend to disagree a little bit there.
We're going to disagree. The casters are disagreeing. Let's go for this. Why do you disagree?
Well, Last Whisper is a truly absurd item. It's absolutely everywhere at the moment. And one of the weird things about Tryndamere, which is very easy to miss, is that his spin counts as an auto attack. So when he spins across the whole composition, he can Last Whisper and shed all of their armor resist. We also noticed Sir Salty needed to get a defensive item. They got 2, which they can either 2 chain vests. Either that's going into a Guardian Angel, which seems fairly likely, or we could even see a Brawler's gloves. The Bramble Vest, if and only if Sir Salty feels like they're under enough threat.
We'll have to wait and see. This time around, though, they weren't able to prevent the Katarina jumping on, and that's not a particularly itemized effectively Katarina, but Sir Bobs has been able to make it work. And this round, Temslow lost, and lost rather big as well, whereas Sir Bobs was able to keep that streak going by winning against Sir Salty. Battle of the Sirs will keep going on for a while, I think, with their HPs.
So, in the shop for Sir Salty, as they are illustrating for us repeatedly, is the other part of what seems to be the competition coming together here. We've got a ton of carry items, so I think it's very possible that Sir Salty ends up in a situation where they run Olaf and Tryndamere, and maybe even Samira, you know, a whole Slayer setup with just major itemized carries, and everybody else in the competition is a filler.
Yordle, Tristana, Yordle, Lulu, Yordle. We're in set 1, right? No, oh wait, that's the wrong thing. Galio came down and it reminded me we're in set 4.5. That Tristana gets removed, and Sir Salty will sadly lose to Temslow, who, before losing his previous round, who I'm not sure who he lost it to. I think it was Helix, but the idea that Helix just lost again, I'm willing to bet it probably wasn't. It might have been Yasen, as they have been winning. The bottom of the table are definitely to be worried about, as Yasen and Zailu Bean Song are definitely starting to ramp up in their power, as we see Sir Salty actually agreeing with us. Well, agreeing with me at least, because I'm saying these things out loud. I'll take the credit. And it was scouting. But that Olaf, tell me more. Tell me more. Tell me why.
Well, the problem I think we've kind of got at the moment here for Sir Salty is that it's only an Olaf 1, and I suspect it will remain that way up until getting to level 8.
Why is that?
And, well, just because it's hard, at this point you've only got this 12% chance of even rolling any more Olaf, so you can burn a lot of money just trying for it here. Yassen, however, they're actually using their 1-star forecast carry in a interestingly itemed Kale.
A very interesting item, but it seems to be working? I don't know if I'd say working is quite it. Only 2.5k damage there on that Kale, so I could almost argue any AD carry would probably put out similar numbers. Almost any champion with those items would be able to put out similar items. I half feel as if that is an executioner Kale that is just sitting there to look pretty and will probably be switched off. Zylu Bingsong is on a hot streak now, Counterfeit, and they're at 18 health. Which is worrying because this is we've seen them do this before. Could we see a comeback?
I mean, they're trying to keep themselves hot here to avoid the cold, dark recesses of the grave.
That's not good, I've heard.
No, it's surprisingly not where you want to be in a game of TFT. And I mean, a lot of players do try this. They try and play very close to the edge because, as we saw before, the payoff can be huge when you come back in a late game. But if the lobby turns against you, if too many people are playing the comps that you don't deal with terribly well, then you can end up just getting knocked out in 8th, and the gamble doesn't pay off as what?
That was some huge drops there for Sir Salty. They're allowing them to build multiple items. A second GA and double GA compositions are always scary, but they've also got the loaded dice. That's one of my favorite items at the moment because you just get to go, hey, I want this, give me this. Sick, my comp is now fixed.
Yeah, I mean, it's so very good, particularly for the Slayer composition that's trying to build up towards late game, but Self-Alador, they've managed to pick up some of their late game early on. They've got themselves I'll have to hold the fun on that one because we're looking instead at our bottom of the table clash.
Zylu Bingsong, 18 HP, and that's another W. That cannon being golden is scary business. That is a level 3 cannon who is outputting huge damage, and Sir Salty going, well, might be time to switch it up, shave it up a bunch, and he is rolling. What do you think he's going for?
I think at this point, just any legendaries, any slayers you can find. Ideally getting that Olaf up to 2-star, but that didn't happen. So instead, it looks to be just, I think just any 2-stars. I think it's maybe a little bit of a panic for Sir Salty. They're blowing all of their gold to get to this point. They're buying very, very quickly as well. I'm not sure if they're super happy with their position ended up. You can see the other players in the lobby critiquing the Olaf, trapping themselves in the corner, and thus really late to the party.
No. The whole idea was so Olaf would have the ability to ultimate and he wouldn't be in the middle of the party right at the beginning. So as you can see, he's still alive. It was actually the huge brain play, and it's allowed him to win, and Olaf did the most amount of damage. Self-Alador, you might be pinging the question mark, but Sir Salty has the bigger brain.
Oh my gosh, the secret Olaf is, in fact, as we all suspected, the deadliest.
I want that on a t-shirt now. Secret Olaf is the best Olaf. It's like you never know where Olaf is, and then he attacks. Oh my god. Can you imagine? Ooh, Chosen Kale. Is that ever in the consensus, or is this Yone always just more appealing?
Well, I mean, I think we talked about this in the previous game, that as soon as you go into Runans, you've locked a lot of doors. You've locked yourself away from AP compositions. You've also locked yourself away from Kale compositions because it just doesn't work. Or it doesn't work sufficiently well for the Kale to really be a realistic choice. We're very much locked into Slayers at this point for Sir Salty. It's the only comp that comes to mind, at least from where we are, that's likely to be played for the rest of the game.
Well, was able to sell a few units there to get themselves back up to 12 gold. Remember, they had to spend a lot of money to get to this place at the moment. They're seeing that Chosen Callista and like, it kind of works. That is a carry that does work with Runans, but you've already committed a huge amount. They've gone for the loaded dice, and they got kind of one unit they were looking for. They wanted that Tryndamere, but I was surprised they didn't go for the Olaf with the loaded dice, personally.
I mean, at least they've ended up with you know, as we are talking about before, this is the double carry competition, and everything beyond this point will be looking to then try and build up a third carry, ultimately. I don't know, I like what we've got going on here from Sir Salty. Before, they kind of struggled with the commitment. This time round, I think they found where they want to be at this point in the game.
Huge damage is coming out. So Salty looks like they're in a very good spot, and it's kind of a million versus one. A little deceptive, as at the beginning of the game there is many Saiyan soldiers out there, so extra 2 more minions out there with the Galio coming down. But we've had some casualties counterfeit this round. Zhailu Bingsong was not able to pull it back, and Helix as well, falling out in 8th and 7th place respectively as Salty gets that over.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I mean, this is the problem with playing with fire. You're gonna get burned sooner or later. I think, you know, if we do see any more of Chia in the, you know, the future lobbies, I'd like to see them maybe steer away from, you know, how they've been playing so far, because it's, I think against this caliber of player, they're gonna notice what you're doing and they're going to punish you for it.
But they worked perfectly back-to-back when they were in the top standings last week, so why wouldn't you try it again?
Consistency, Marswan! It's all about consistency. We're in a long-form tournament here, so you've got to make sure you get those top 4s. If you get those 8ths in your record, well, just ask Temloz, who's on our screen right now. It was 1 week's worth of bad performance that cost them from being our last season champion.
True, though, they can really happen a lot, and we're getting Helix here. Didn't go for a single sword this game, and it really cost them. So Hermit now sitting at 8, and we haven't got anybody on a hot streak anymore. We're in a very unique place. Normally, at least one player is doing extremely well. Obviously, Serbob's currently at the very top of the table, but hasn't been able to commit any further into the cultist. And, ooh, that Shen is definitely interesting, but you can't really go for it unless you sell all of everything on your board. Yeah, actually, no, we're just doing it. Shen Mystic 2's really good. Surprise, surprise, especially with an Olaf Tryndamere comp.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's fantastic, because you've got the Guardian Angel for armor, you've now got the resistance to being burst. I've got this Yasin here, who is running the Keepers. Wow, you're seeing the Keepers. I think maybe at your suggestion, Swan, they've come back into the meta as of this game.
So I should shut up in the future and not say things like that and give the players help. Okay, I'll make sure I won't do that in the future. That Xayah was trying so much for this fly, and Olaf decided to run around everybody, got CC'd the moment his ultimate ran out. Tryndamere was able to at least try and do something, but this Xayah has been feathers flying up and down, left, right, till 3 times till Sunday, and, well, 8k damage from that Xayah isn't too surprising.
Alright, so, as we've seen there from Sir
Stolen!
No! You were the chosen one, Hermit.
You were the chosen. We're into the item round. Sir Salty has gone for the banner.
Oh.
Why is he going for a banner?
So that's, if I don't miss my guess, that's a Zeke's.
Oh, Zeke's. Right. Yes.
So we've got 2 melee carries here. We're entirely dependent on auto attacks. This is going to be pretty crazy. The only thing, you know, why you wouldn't normally see the Zeeks coming in as a priority is because Olaf gives themselves a bunch of attack speed and Julius gives themselves a ton of attack speed. But what the Zeeks will do for Sir Salty here is just allow that whole thing to come online that much faster. You know, the Olaf gets enough hits in, they get their ultimate activated, then they're safe. The Tryndamere, same sort of thing. If they get their ultimate off early, they spin to the backlines where they are tremendously more safe. So this is a really big pickup for Sir Salty. And with the lobby as close as this one...
5 Siphoner. What is Temlols doing with this 5 Siphoner?
Whatever they like!
Yasen is also pinged over to 9 cultists as well, but this is Self-Alador and versus Sir Salty, and a win over here of Self-Alador would be an ending for them here. The cultists are trying so hard. Tryndamere's around everywhere, and they haven't even been able to get him down the first time around. He's still got that Guardian Angel and 1 auto attack. It isn't enough, as he didn't have a second unit. A second unit there would have potentially put Self-Alador down to 1 HP. Another one there, it would have been game over. Your son also loses as well.
Oh my gosh. So Self-Alador grabbing their own 2-star, but yeah, for Sir Salty, their left click is a lot stronger than their right click.
So our two players that are in first and second place are doing really wild things. Temslaw has just kept with the cultists since he got it from round probably 1. He got chosen Twisted Fate. He's committed to this and hasn't actually diverted from it. Subbobs, 5 Siphoner, or 4 Siphoner rather, with 4 Vanguard. Can you explain this comp to me and our viewers? Because I'm new to this.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, yeah, Siphoner is good. More Siphoners are better. I mean, really, ultimately, it's just that you've got... I'm glad you like that one. It's just Swain. This whole composition is just Swain.
Right.
The entire rest of the composition is really just there to buy time for him to get online and use his ultimate repeatedly. Where it doesn't do tremendously well against Slayers here, though I may be about to eat my words, because it's more damage over time than it is burst, which is normally how you get rid of Slayers. There we go. Both Slayer carries survive to the end of the round, even though Sir Bob's is on level 9.
Yes, Sen sadly falls though out in 5th place, and Salvador was able to cling on to victory at that 5 HP. Okay, I agree with you. The more Siphoners, the better Siphoners, meaning you get the more healing. So Salty, still sitting here, was able to get that victory over it, and I agree with you there. It looked like, ooh, that Swain is going to be able to heal a lot, but the problem is when you just get to 2-shot somebody with 2 auto attacks and you're a Tryndamere and Olaf, you don't really care. Where is this Gargoyle's plate going, though?
I mean, at this point, you know, we've it's not ideal, really, because you're really looking for a, maybe even well, we're looking for a major tank here that can carry this Gargoyles. Dragon Soul and Siphoners themselves, perhaps for Sir Salty later on. But they haven't got a chosen at this point, and I suspect that all they're really looking for is one that's actually playable enough to throw in.
This man a chosen game. Whoa, he's seen about 7 or 8 of them. I'm like, none of these work for this composition at all. But sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles as we come in against Temslaw. Now, if he's able to beat this 9 cultist comp of Temslaw, he will have ran the gauntlet and will have beaten everyone. This is the only one he is yet to beat, but that Galio is humongous.
I don't know if it's going to be enough, though, because you can see that the Olaf there, they're healing like crazy. They're actually healing through Galio hitting them, and Galio hits like a truck.
An absolute truck, and now it's just 1v9 that Tryndamere is trying, and now the GA has been popped. The Olaf comes, and you're absolutely right. Temslaw is done, and Sir Salty has ran the gauntlet of the 3 of them. That 3-win streak shows that he can beat them all, and he's only going to get stronger.
So there we go. We've got the Sejuani up to 2-star. We can bring in immediately a Aatrox 2-star as well as a temporary chosen, which actually also gives the cultist 3 as well as a small little bonus. But this is, I think, for Sir Salty, they're on a pretty good path here towards the end of the game.
Trying to figure out which way they want. They're like, do I want this Pike or do I want to bring in the Samira? But I don't have any items for the Samira, so it's a bit, it's not the best, it's not the worst. It was the best of times, it was the blurn of times, but it was the best for Salvador. The suck came in, Galio ultimates are coming in, and let's see who's incoming is more important. That Samira has been CC chained for so long, and she actually got her GA immediately popped.
Oh!
The ultimate came out, double GAs popped, and is it going to be enough? It's not enough because GAs are just crazy.
Oh!
Salvador wins, and Sir Salty gets their loss streak, and now he is no longer around the gauntlet. He's got to do it a second time around, but he was this close, and you can't see my fingers, but they're really close together. Just trust me.
I mean, the Stealth Bomber, Salvador, they fly below the radar. They come back at the end of the game, and man, that was incredibly clutch. I think there's a good argument here for Sir Salty to hold the Samira on their bench for the rest of the game, even if they can't run it themselves.
Yeah, just to prevent the opportunity for Salvador, if they're able to get that golden Samira, that level 3 Samira, it could be all over. As we come against 10 Sir Bobs, and last time, this is the 4 Siphoner composition. This is the comp which is looking to heal and shield. The suck comes out immediately, but his whole composition is in the middle of the Morgana roll, and that's exactly where they want them to be.
Yeah, cutting down the attack damage is fantastic, though it doesn't work against Olaf. Notable in all of this mess of effects is we have got ourselves 2 Swains for Sir Bob. So, you know, if you thought that one of these Siphoners was good, 4 of them was better, why not go up to double 2 stars? And maybe we're in a lobby where we see another 3-star Swain.
And that one, this time around, meant Sir Bobs was able to be victorious over Sir Salty, and this is the second one in the gauntlet, and we're about to go into the match that was arguably the closest between the two in the first run. What item is he going for? Sir Salty has gone for the Shroud of Stillness. I actually understand this. He wants to disable one of the big carries from Temslol, who is on that 9 cultist.
I mean, it's the perfect item for this stage in the game. We've said it before, we'll say it again, because it's always true. When you've got a spread of unitemized characters like Sir Salty does here, you've got tremendous flexibility to throw down that Shroud, covering pretty much any part of the board, and most likely guaranteeing you that round win.
Sir Salty, well, Sir Bobs was pinging their board. We're just going to have to adjust a little bit around to see what's happening as we go into maybe the final match for Sir Bobs. Well, Sir Salty, Sir Salty, Sir Salty.
Yes, Sir Bobs would have to lose the round quite considerably to go down by 50. But for Salty, death is only a heartbeat away. They're on 2 health right now. This is a vital round to win.
To see how this damage does play out, there's a lot of happening. I've frozen. I can't tell if you've seen anything, but Sir Salty was able to be victorious over Temslol. That's good. That's very good.
It was too hot for TV, Marswan. We had to cut the feed because we didn't want to offend the sensibilities of anyone who hasn't seen a Slayer comp go off at full speed.
Well, with this, we currently have 3 players. The Elise has just tipped over for Temslol. So, Temslol, 7 HP. Self-Alador, hot streak, 3 wins, has ran the gauntlet themselves now. And Sir Salty, our point of view, at 2 HP, a loss for any of them. It's basically over now at this point because of where we are. We're at 6-6. We're pretty late into this lobby as Self-Alador and Sir Salty play against one another. It's Slayers. It's so much damage.
Yeah, we'll keep our eye out for this hero Samira from before. They survived to the end of the round. They've actually spun away again. They get their ultimate off, and I think they're going to bring the Slayers down again.
Well, Olaf is trying his absolute best, but he isn't able to overheal, and that actually is it. Self-Alador was able to just eke out with that Samira for 12 HP versus Sir Salty, and at the same time, we see Temslol fall to Sir Bobs as well, meaning we have got Self-Alador facing off against Sir Bobs, and last time we saw these two face off, Self-Alador was able to come out on top.
You see Temlons. I don't know how salty they're being in the chat, but certainly, a lot of our top players, they've gotten to know each other pretty darn well during the course of the New competition. That's, of course, one of the big reasons for the competition in the first place, is to get these students playing it together and getting to know each other, and also building up these rivalries that will haunt them for maybe even multiple seasons.
I mean, I do agree. Who lets anybody get Samira too? Better question. Last week, who let people get golden tier 3 Swain? Who let them?
The same people in this game, apparently.
So a bit of hypocrisy here as we see Sir Bobs getting that Lee Sin 2, and Lee Sin 2 has been a big one. That is also an Ornn 2, a Swain 2, a Morgana 2, which is expected. 2 Swain 2s actually. Oh my, this is oh, this is getting a bit scary with a Zillion 2 in the background. Sir Bobs is well and truly going all in on the good stuff comp with this Samira. For Self-Alador, we'll have to wait and see, as the ultimates will be coming out in a moment. It's
going to be a tough one to win here for Self-Alador, because this is ultimately a DPS comp, putting damage in over time, which the Siphoners can heal through. It's all going to be about the Samira.
And it's just not going to be enough. The Siphoners are just healing so much more, and it's not going to allow Self-Alador to do it. Self-Alador is out in second place. And, well, Sir Bobs, you get that W in game number 2. What a really impressive performance there, because there was a lot of ups and downs. At points it looked like Sir Salty was actually going to win the lobby with his run, and then actually what happened is we had multiple members ran around the gauntlet. There was a top 4 to be sure.
Of course, this is only the second of our 3 games here this evening, so do bear in mind, guys, do stick around after we talk about the results of the second game for game number 3 this week and next week as well. Bonus bumper episodes to bring in the games from week 2. But let's have a look at our last game there. Oh my gosh. We didn't quite get to the Swain 3, but it was pretty close.
It definitely felt like we're about there. Sir Falador obviously ran the gauntlet at the same time as Sir Salty. Thames Low was winning, was doing so well with this 9 cultists, and it just couldn't quite get there. Kind of the fall that we do sometimes see from cultists is outside of being cultists and having that Galio, your comp doesn't really work super well together sometimes.
Well, I mean, you look at the high style units for Temlols, and they're 1 and 2 costs in that composition. Like the top end, the Sivir, in particular, the Callista, those are the 2 which are expected to carry you in the very late game, and Temlols just didn't have them, so they were always capped as to how well they could do.
See, Sir Falador with this Samira was just outputting huge damage for Sir Falador. But also that Tryndamere, the suck coming out from Aatrox, and unexpected, but the double locket on the Sivir.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes you just need to get as many buffs as possible. You don't have the items to be able to push her as a carry. But Sir Falador, they had the Tryndamere, they had the Samira in mind. I think, Sir Falador specifically ruined that game for Sir Salty because the Slayers just couldn't keep up with Samira.
I mean, so he knows who to blame, is what you're saying. Okay, that's good. Let's talk about the last 4 players. Our 5th to 8th, Yasin was in there for a long period of time, only fell towards the very end. Hermit was obviously looking really solid, but then just wasn't able to get online. They were trying to do something very similar to Sir Bob's, but were just a few turns away from it. Not many leveled up units.
No, and this was the lobby that we saw the re-emergence of Keepers, and I think perhaps we had some degree of answer to your question of why the Keepers weren't getting used here. Is we've even got a competition with a 3-star Kennen in it from a Chielu Song in 8th place, and I think that should really kind of tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair point around all of it. That's where we got at the end of it. The fact is, we still have 1 more game left to play. 1 more lobby, and we're not used to this. Our players are going to be coming into their 3rd one, and after this break, Counterfeit, there's going to be a lot for these players to play for. How much more can the players be pushing themselves? Are there still dark technology that we just haven't seen out of any of these players, or in the lobby in general?
I think, honestly, the biggest thing that we've still yet to see from any of our players is, a serious attempt towards the, trying to bring the KL back into the mix.
Yeah.
And try that as an alternative to the Slayers. If we've got a ton of Slayers around, they do tend to struggle with backline access as a rule. I think we need something different here. Stefalador is dominating way too much at this point. I think the players need to band together and find a way to take them down.
Now, bound together will our top tier players, or will they all run amok against each other like normal TFT lobbies and fight for glory for themselves? We don't know yet. You don't know yet. But after this break, we'll be allowed to find out. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen.
catching diamonds in the rain, letting precious water through the drain. Stars were dancing in their light, paths that we could never write. Oh, they were dancing way up high.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Newell and Amazon University Teamfight Tactics Spring 2021 Championship, or competition, as I'm calling it a bit of fun. It's a tournament, of course it's a championship. Moss won here, or Alex won as we're known. Peter, over on the other side, he goes by Counterfeit Cuss on the internet. Crazy kind of situation. Counterfeit, we're still here. We've already done 2 games. What's going on?
Well, we are making up for lost time. Week 2 was not played. So, that means we've got the extra game today and an extra game next week as well to end out the season. It means our players, they're being put to the ultimate test in these last 2 weeks. And for me, Must One, the player who has stood out as dealing with that pressure the best has got to be Stealth Alador with 2 second-place finishes.
South Falador has been at the top of the table. He is leading the points, and I believe, if I understood correctly in the break, we might have a points table.
Yes, so Stealth Alador is up at 106. It puts him ahead of Hermit on 102. Everybody else goes down then to the 90s relatively quickly, with Sub Bob's, our Season 1 champion, our previous season champion, in the 3rd place, and the person who finished just behind them, Temlols, only 3 points behind them. Past that, everyone's kind of on the same kind of points as each other, but Stealth Alador and Hermit, they are out ahead of the pack right now.
Yeah, Zaishu, Abaisong, Sir Salty, and Yasa, those 2 players actually, at 93 and 91 respectively. And then we've got a 3-way tie for 7th. We got Yasen, Helix, and Newcomer. Newcomer to us, because I've not seen this name before. You can correct me. But Sana 1443 has now joined that 7th place tie with 90 points. And obviously Viperoon and Aladar will be covering next week for the finals, as it would be. There's so much still to play for all these players. We've just got a newcomer coming in, and they could genuinely take the crown from Stealth Alador, who has been leading the charge at the very top of the table all year, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, coming into these last 4 games, so the last game from this week and the 3 from next week, if you can make it into the top 8, you are in the prize position. All you need to do is stay up there, but there's always going to be someone who comes 8th in these top place lobbies, and most of the time that's going to involve you getting bumped down to the next table. And if that happens in the last game, then you may have fallen just so slightly short of the prize positions.
Well, we'll have to see. And talking about those prizes, there is still £500 worth of prizes of Amazon vouchers, a pile of RP, and the most important thing, if you ask me, the Little Legends counterfeit. They're the best part, even though I play as Blue Spirit, River Sprite, so not important to me, but I'm sure people out there love them.
All right, so spirits aside, let's talk about that previous game, though, because what we did see, a very strong performance from Stealth Alador. It was ultimately Sir Bobs who won the whole thing with the double dragon, the double Swain, bringing the pain and making it rain.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the Swains coming out. This is the 2nd week in a row that we've been seeing Swain kind of dominate a lobby. Game number 2 as well, actually, kind of funny to see. We might see a trend for game number 3. And Counterfeit, we're looking at this lobby, and we could compare to the previous lobby of game number 1. You mentioned that we haven't seen a Kale, but we at least see a few attempts at doing Executioner. Yasen here tried out the Zaya at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did reasonably well, but I think if Yasen and Shia weren't contesting each other on the keepers, we would be looking at a composition that had 3 stars on more than one unit. We've got the Zaya and no 3-star Kennen. We've got the 3-star Kennen and, in fact, no Zaya at all for our 8th place player. So I think this is a situation before where you've got to really make sure that if you're going to play one of these compositions that relies on getting the 3 stars, you can't be contested. And if you are, you probably need to be the bigger person and just go for something else.
I'm a little disappointed that we've got this Rakan, we've got this Zaya, and there's no lovers duo like in League of Legends for TFT. I have to admit, I'm a little disappointed. I thought that would be a nice little cool interaction. I'm only saying give them like 5 bonus, like AD for Zaya and I don't know, 5 mana. Oh, that's a big buff actually to Rakan. Like a 5 mana on all auto attacks. Yikes, that would. Okay, don't listen to me for balancing. I didn't go to school for it, except I did. Counterfeit, you take it away and talk about Helix and why they had a disappointing performance.
Well, I mean, yes, they only had the 1-star Kale by the end of the game. You can see that they were trying to bring in the Kale and the Adept setup, which is normally pretty good against auto-attack-based compositions. But against big spell damage, like eventually with Sir Bob's it ended up being, it really doesn't do anything at all. One which you haven't had a chance to talk about too much yet, but we really should be, Temlols. With the cultist composition, they did so well in the early going. They were only hampered by an inability to put together their 3-star carries by the end of the game. That's the only thing, I think, that kept them from taking the top 1.
We've talked about this in the past with Counterfeit. Consistency is king, and that cultist composition gave Temlols the consistency.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you have your cultists chosen from the beginning of the game. It's very similar to Brawlers in that kind of respect, where you can say, if the items allow it, I am going to run this the whole way through the game. You're going to have a massive win streak. You do ultimately end up in a bit of a weird position, like in this one here, where you had a lot of carry items on a 3-star Twisted Fate by the end of the game, which isn't really ideal. But, you know, you go what you get with. You've got the 3-star 1 cost. You've got a strong cultist composition. I think Temlols is honestly going to be fairly happy where they ended up in that last game.
Temlols currently sitting on 94 points. A win here could definitely propel them a little bit further up the standings and have them knocking on Self Alador. And all we really have to see, Counterfeit, is Self Alador and Hermit, who are sitting in 1st and 2nd place. The only 2 players on above 100 points, Self Alador on 106, Hermit at 102. If they lose, if they have a really bad game number 3 for us here, we could see these standings completely change, and Sir Bob's could be at the very top, or we could even see Thames Low at the very top as well. And it's really surprising how quickly it can change, and we've seen it before, haven't we? As we're just going into game.
Yeah, we may well see it again. I think for our top players, a big thing coming into this game, again, this will be the last game this evening with 3 more afterwards towards the end of the season. If you're at the top, you can't afford to play more conservatively. Play stuff like Cultists, where you're going to probably top 4, and then you can keep your position rather than playing risky and potentially going 8th.
Now, Twitch chat, you might have seen, or our viewers out there, you might have seen Sir Salty asking, "Hey, what are you having for dinner?" And then Helix coming in and going, "Hey, what's real question?" The reason that we had to wait an extra minute or 2, and you might have heard us kind of babbing on a little bit, was because somebody was getting their order through an app that I won't disclose. But they brought their order, they now have their food, and now the players are really asking, "Hey, this is the most important thing." We now know it's the Colonel's fried chicken.
Of course. Well, our players must be fully fueled before they go into this game. I mean, they're not used to playing 3-game series.
They're not, no.
So, at this point, this is the time when we maybe start to see some of our players making some of these riskier choices, having their nerve and resolve tested. I honestly think that the status of TFT is primarily a stream game. For those who are streamers, as our players as well, they're going to be more used to playing for extended periods and less likely to make any kind of crucial mistakes.
Chosen Sharpshooter Tristana coming in. Now I'm going to double down on it because we've got, well, I mean, some incredible champions out here for Sir Salty, and we're only at 4-1. Am I going to get to see this elusive Tristana comp that you've talked about so much, even though we haven't actually seen anybody properly pilot it yet? Yeah, am I seeing Tristana yet?
Well, with the exception of Sir Falador from before.
Oh, of course, yes, of course, my apologies.
But yes, To answer your question, extremely likely. Especially now we've got a second bow coming in. I mean, in a perfect world, you'd be able to put together a Last Whisper or something similar at this point, but we'll see what goes for here. I mean, it's very possible for Sir Salty to end up with, say, Guinsoo's Rage Blade and a Last Whisper as well with this many bows, but the temptation of going Kale is a lot less than it used to. You've got a lot of spirits coming through. You've got Sharpshooter 4 as well. I think we're looking for a strong start.
This is 2-1. He's a 4 Sharpshooter. If I may steal another streamer's copyright, that's illegal. That is not allowed.
I mean, it's exactly where you want to be. It's an interesting choice here. So the rapid fire cannon, normally seen a lot more on the Kale later on. Generally not seen a tremendous amount on the Tristana. So maybe we aren't staying here long term for Sir Salty. The ever restless player always seems to want to chase the next big thing.
Well, that can come around when you are a card game player. You get bored of drafting the same things over and over and over again, and you want a bit of change up. You want a bit of spice put into your salad, and that might be what Sir Salty is looking to do. But that Sharpshooter 4 coming out very early on caused Yusan a few issues, and we saw the Tristan auto attacks were bouncing around as if it couldn't decide where it wanted to stop. Pretty good start at the moment for Sir Salty. Pretty good start. Though you hinted towards this idea of Kale. Are there any other champions outside of maybe an Olaf that really want rapid-fired cannons?
Well, as I said, the Olaf works pretty well with it. It's also a decent enough item for Olaf or Shyvana to just keep them out of trouble.
Shyvana, okay.
It's strange. I mean, maybe even a Zeb. We certainly haven't seen a lot of ninjas going around recently, but I mean, for Sir Salty, it's working pretty well in the early going. Just, honestly, slamming a attack speed item on the Shyvana when she's got all the Sharpshooter and Spirit support, it's gonna work pretty well, just because the surrounding material is so strong.
Well, as we see, a quick count of 3 into 6, 7, plus 0 gold means he cannot sell his whole board to get the econ, but this time around, he will have that opportunity. Sir Salty's in a kind of a unique spot, I think is fair to say. He's got a composition of 4 sharpshooters, but he has no tank on the front line at the moment. And I wouldn't be too surprised if maybe, not this round because it's awkward to level, but next round we see him level and try and find some form of a front line.
Well, if they can't find a front line soon, what they have got the option of doing is to use that Diana who's currently on the bench along with the chain vest, which they probably reasonably likely to pick up in the next carousel, even as the top of the table, to form the Locket of the Iron Solari and just get the shields that way. The only argument maybe for not doing that is just because I don't feel like this is a long-term Tristana comp.
It doesn't look to be, and it doesn't seem like they can even beat Temslow on their Cultist. That was a chosen Elise on the Cultist with this Twisted Fate, just kind of chilling, already tier 2. We kind of already hinted towards the folly of Sir Salty's composition at this moment in time. Not having a front line can kind of put you in an awkward spot. He is also noticing that a few other players in this lobby are also stealing his things, specifically Helix in that first place spot is taking 2 of the sharpshooters, making his comp a bit worse.
I'm curious to see what Sir Salty goes here under the circumstances of realizing that this is going to be a contested comp.
No, it's exactly what you said earlier. It's the chain vest. He got it.
I'm honestly kind of surprised. I mean, when we're talking about one cost, there are enough in the pools that 2 people can theoretically run the same composition, but it just takes longer for it to come online. And ideally, you want to be online as soon as possible.
So with this chain vest, obviously adding with the needlessly large rod, that gives you a Locket of the Iron Solaris. That's good it is. Who's buying all the duelists to stop Self? Okay, so the players are combining their forces together, and they're going to try and figure out how they can take down Self Falador. I think they're taking your suggestion to heart. I said Keeper. We saw a Keeper-heavy lobby. This time, we're now getting everybody targeting first place. Self Falador, though, currently sitting rather happily on 98%. And level 5.
Oh my gosh, yes, I'm now starting to feel a little bit bad. Salvador was very sad in the chat when they realised that I had betrayed them for reasons of my own. But a small point here for Sir Salty, who I presume is... I don't know if they did that on purpose because they're on a loss streak and they want to keep it that way, but they didn't use the target dummy, which is a portable frontline, and as you see, it cannot be deployed once the round has already started.
He's bouncing it like a basketball there, waiting, going, trying. No, you will not succeed, sir. Yes, I know you're very good at playing catch with the basketball as well. Well done. But while we're waiting for the next round to income, Helix has actually started their hot streak. They've just got into those 100%, and now they are sitting with 4 wins under their belt going into this 5th one. And Helix is playing a similar comp to what Sir Salty's playing at the moment. So I think it's just a little bit of RNG, and also the cultist comp that he had to play against was pretty brutal for where he was standing at that moment in time.
You did see some pings coming out there. I just wanted to touch on that before we move any further forward.
Absolutely.
Teesside University's Hermit has got a Kale already in their composition.
We're at 2-6. That's really not allowed. Okay, Sir Salty, what have we got here? We're against Helix, who has got a front line, is also doing this same kind of comp. The Nilly Spear went wide as if it was Yankos, and we're trying to wait and see, but it looks to be this Time Catch is left all on their lone, and an F in chat for the fish, man.
It's not a freaky fish guy at all. Let's check in on the lobby overall, because we're looking at a fairly tight game amongst the top 5 players, but who is this down at the bottom of the table? Could it be our familiar friend with playing on the edge of annihilation?
Oh, absolutely. It's what they do best, as we put in this extra spirit of the kindred and the target dummy. If you don't have a front line, how can you get a front line? Well, you have a target dummy, you don't even have to get a front line. It is rather fortunate for Sir Salty. I do feel that it is kind of worked out in this way.
Well, target dummies aside, but what's something I want to touch on while we've got the chance to do this, which is that for this Tristana composition, you noted that we've got 4 Sharpshooter in now. Ideally, you'd like to have 4 Sharpshooter and 4 Spirit. However, what's keeping you from doing this is you really want to stay at level 5 to get the rest of the Tristanas before you level up. So this is an awkward little transitional phase. If Sir Salty is going to stick with this, they are finding a lot of Tristanas relatively early on.
Yeah,
but
and they were able to
stay
sell a
at
lot
level
of
5.
unit. Yeah, and they were able to sell a lot of units, which allowed them to get that Tristana. They've got themselves to 50 gold as well, because they were able to sell multiple units there, multiple 4-cost units, one of them being an Aurelian. So take them up to 40. With how the economy works, it basically automatically gets them to 50 at the end of the round, which means they can now sit rather comfortably and then econ for the next few rounds. And 3-X is kind of the safest time to kind of sandbag yourself. You can take some losses. People won't be hitting particularly hard at this point in time, and if you get a few wins, that's great for you as well.
So we've got Sir Bob's here. Looks like they're moving towards Mages longer term, but they've also brought in a side order of Dragon Soul, which is pretty smart. We've got the Brand and eventually the Aurelian Soul, who both got the Dragon Soul. So it's a very good comp to be able to put together. But Veigar, this is also a character we talked about right back at the beginning, but no one's run it up until this point.
Well, we have seen a few people attempt it. Temslol in game number 2 had one Veigar, but 0 items and nothing to do with it. Only playing it for that mage buff. So actually, I will not keep going on that point much further. Diana 2 comes out, and Diana is a typical association with all of these sharpshooter compositions. But it seems a little bit weird. You're playing all of these Locket of Iron Solaris with the sharpshooters. Why would you do that? I know you touched on it, but why? What is the reason that you go for Diana?
Well, Diana is very cheap as being a 1-cost. It's very easy to get a lot of them and get them up to 3-star. The Locket of the Iron Solaris that gives the shield depending on what level you are. So it's, that's why you can actually do without a front line. I mean, we see here against Yasin that the Diana actually soaks a lot of the attention that would otherwise be going towards Tristana.
Yeah, and the damage that is allowed to come out from all of these units, even with it looking so good, the GA gets popped. This Xayah is still a level 1 Xayah. They're putting out a huge amount of damage. Actually, maybe I'm just wrong and the heals come out. No, 1 HP more on the Tristana. That's all that mattered, and I was right, which I like to be.
It's always a nice place to be. I mean, certainly, I think it's sometimes with our players, as much as Sir Salty has kind of thrown us off the scent more than a few times with the way they play, with this kind of composition here, you have got a relatively clear game plan of, this is where you want to be at this kind of point. We know the Tristana 3 needs to come in before we move up to future levels. And I think at this point, it's just about trying to make the comp as strong as you can be. A 2-star Pike does that.
Absolutely no one else is still at that 100% HP. Subbobs has started their hot streak at the moment, but Zailu hello. I imagine you're probably lose streaking still, sir. We will wait till you to see you. Actually, no, call me a liar. That Nidalee is just speared, and then it's a win. You're at 62 HP. I'm confused. Why are they winning at 62? They're meant to keep losing, go down to 18, and then they win the lobby, right? That's how that works.
Maybe they've just learned that they can't go that low in a lobby, considering what our players are like here. You've really got to read the kind of players you're playing with. If they're going for early compositions, if they're spending out early, you take so much more damage from effectively open forcing, just letting your opponents wail on you.
Well, they weren't at 50 gold, so I think there is some validity to what you're saying. There is actually some weight there as we come into this carousel round. And what is Sir Salty looking for? He's got this spatula, he's got this BF sword, but nothing else. He's gone for the crit glove. Is it just because sharpshooter's good?
Well, yeah, they were hyper-focused on that because they were looking for the Quicksilver. So for the Tristana, the big thing that'll prevent her from going off is being crowd controlled. It's really striking. If you ever try and run a Tristana without the Quicksilver, you will spend nearly the entire round being knocked up, pulled in, thrown all over the place, and you'll never get your maximum damage output. I'm still not convinced this is ultimately going to be a Tristana comp, because it could easily be a Kayle comp. But right now, I think we've got a solid setup for at least this part of the game.
They can put in that Spirit if they want it, if they put the Yumi in as well over this Diana, but I just don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. So we're in an awkward situation, though we're currently, and the Quicksilver does go out, as you said. And now we're currently looking only for 2 Tristana to be able to get them all the way there against Temslol, who did actually give them their first loss.
Yeah, and they're still on the cultist hype train right now, with, as before, seeing the cultists itemizing the Twisted Fate pretty heavily in the early going. I think there is a little bit of a problem here for the Tristana in that she doesn't have a massive amount of offensive itemization. She's just got the raw attack speed, which is fine, but it doesn't get the kills quickly.
No, and we can see some of that problem coming through. This Diana is going to have to assist against this Elise here, and it goes into their ultra-fired rapid mode, and the Elise so close, but this time around it worked as Sir Salty expected. It might have been close, but hey, close doesn't mean they won. It still means he wins, and Helix is starting his streak the moment Sir Bobs loses theirs.
Yes, give me the tag out. It's so much often the way it goes. To touch on the what we're seeing from Chia before, that seemed to me like it was going to be Olaf or Samira itemization from later on. So I think the lobby as a whole is, I think, tried out the keepers, decided to go back away from them once again. But Helix here on a win streak.
Well, Helix also on those sharpshooters. We can see that as bright eye and bushy tail as anything else, but hey, they were able to, well, they struggled actually with that Diana that jumped onto the back line. This Diana has been more than her weight of gold. I'm trying to think of how good she is. How good is she, Counterfeit?
Well good.
Well good, there we go. She's well good, lads. Helix gets that loss. Sir Bobs does get that win, and the moment Helix got his streak, they tagged out again. Sadly, though, no one was there to tag in. So it's kind of an empty ring at the moment. We'll have to wait and see who is going to be in control as we go into 3-7, and this is a common point where a lot of players will sell their Chosens.
Yeah, I mean, you can pick up the 3-cost Chosens at this point and really, start to give yourself a lot more direction, especially if you've left yourself fairly open. A notable point for Sir Salty, who is still at level 5, though, is that they are 1 Tristana away from 3-star.
And that could be a game changing for them. They have been given so much gold, which is actually a really nice spot because I'm expecting them to level. Oh, okay. So I was expecting them to level before it comes in, meaning they get an extra 1 gold when you level up, because that's how that works, by the way. We're also we're 2 Dianas off at the moment. We're looking for this Yuumi. We've got this Pyke. We're doing a lot of transitioning. What are we looking for at this moment in time, Counterfeit?
3-star Tristana, 3-star Diana. So
There it is.
there's one of them. The
All
rocket
right.
shields will also be boosted up. So the Diana's not going to be prioritized here. It's the 4 spirits. So this is the point. The awkward growth phase of the Tristana comp is now more or less over. Tristana's at 3-star. Even if Diana isn't, this is still a major spike.
Well, the suck came through from that, and a huge amount of heals came through. The redemption proc, and it doesn't matter if you get a golden Tristana, Sir Salty. Xayah with perfect items, well, actually, no, that's the Kale with perfect items, denies all opportunity from you.
Well, that's just going to show there that Spirit isn't just capable of enhancing Tristana to be a very strong composition. It can also make the Kale utterly absurd as well. This is Hermit who had Kale from very, very early on in the game, so they'd be able to craft their items and their comp around the Kale.
Yeah, they are playing a chosen Teemo at the moment with that sharpshooter. I wouldn't be too surprised to if that is a chosen spirit Teemo, which is what it is. It actually is, so that makes things even more difficult, because that Teemo is probably here for the long haul, which does mean we actually know kind of the direction that Temslaw is probably going to be playing for the rest of this game.
So, up against Yasin here. Oh, I'm going to have to eat my words about the lack of keepers, because we've got an incredibly powerful Xayah in the mix for Yasin.
Yeah, that is multiple items. That cannon coming out only being tier 1, but because this Xayah has already got double Hand of Justice, one of them's got healing, one of them doesn't. Feathers Fly comes out, and Sir Salty not having any damage items on this Tristana is starting to become a bit clear now. It's starting to be a little awkward, and that rapid fire cannon, I think, has fallen off now. The attack speed early on, I understood it. I was like, well, it also does give you a bunch of attack speed. That's also what you want. You don't want to commit one of your AP items if you're thinking, maybe I might have to go for composition around this Diana at some point. I want to keep my options open as possible. Rapid fire cannon isn't a super adaptable item, unlike a lot of other things like Runans. But now we're at this awkward spot, Counterfeit. What can Sir Salty do?
I'm so confused as to what they're going for here, because Sir Salty is playing like they've got perfect items for Tristana. They've really committed in a ton of resources to getting this comp online. They've got the units they need. They just don't really have the itemization for Tristana to get the most out of it. There's no Last Whisper to be able to, bounce that around and shred an entire composition. As you mentioned, Rapid Fire Cannon is not a damage item, so it's good enough to beat Sir Bob's, but I think longer term, once the big defensive line comes in for the other comps, this Tristana is going to fall off a cliff.
Well, talking about falling off a cliff, and I don't mean to be rude to the player, but Salfalador is currently sitting in last place at 27 HP. We are getting some pings out there on the item. They went for that bow, and now we get to see Zai be able to go immediately for that spatula. I think Sir Salty would have loved the opportunity to go for that spatula, but they're suffering from success. They've gone for another Locket of Iron Solaris. They're going all in on this Diana kind of idea.
Alright, Swan, this is the last game, so I'm just going to go off on the players here.
Oh, unleashed.
I hate this. I hate this so much, because what are you protecting? You've got Tristana who's like, she's pinging out damage, but she doesn't have, maybe she doesn't have any other options, but you get another Locket of the Iron Solari here. I don't see this going well for Sir Salty longer term. I think that's why maybe I might be able to eat the words there. I thought maybe they might try and transition to something else. This does make the Locket a ton better.
It's all-time Diana now as the second one comes in, and they immediately get another opportunity. They haven't committed to a Locket. No, of course, they were just waiting to the last moment to do it against Salfalador, who's at level 8. Sir Salty has just pinged over to level 7. So let's see which of these two are able to do it. That's a lot of shielding coming out, and hey, if you don't want to play Keeper, this is a good opportunity to do it. Salfalador, that's another loss, and one more like that, you'll be out of the lobby. And this is what I was hinting towards earlier in that pre-game lobby coming into this Counterfeit. If Salfalador has one bad game, the standings get completely flipped.
Yeah, and it looks like the players are taking a suggestion. Stefano has had a hit job put out of them on this game. They're trying to play Slayers. They're getting slaughtered through. So, I don't know. It's if Stefano goes out here, said it flips the table up. At least with the current lead that Stefano has gotten, it doesn't put them in danger of being knocked out of the top 8.
With that Sejuani coming in for them, it definitely could change things up for them. What's also important to note is Hermit has been on a streak, and I normally like to let them immediately say, oh, they're on a streak. I waited a moment. They're still on their streak. Hermit has beaten 4 different players in this lobby. We're in against Temslow here, and Temslow has got a fabled kind of brawler-esque composition coming out, and this is the second time we've seen this.
Yeah, they've been working under the radar, and a big thing for this Fable comp here is they've got the extra item, which doesn't necessarily get talked about all the time. The Vanguard Spatula for the Nico lets her share in the bounty of having loads of the Vanguards later on, making her almost impossible to kill. And that's so important for the Fable comp.
He dealt 880,000 damage. That is so, no, 8,800. There we go. I got there eventually.
Yeah.
That was hard. Damage coming out for that one. That was huge output there from them. Stefano was able to win there. So, hey, keeping himself off of death's door for the time being. We come into Raptors. What damage items does Sir Salty need for this Tristana? Is it just double BF sword so he just gets the death blade and like goes cross fingers, touch wood, hope it all works out?
I mean, it's going to need to be something pretty special. It's not right now. Uh-oh. Betrayal! But we do have another locket, in good news.
It's good. It's still good.
So this is pretty bad news, because for Sir Salty...
No, counterfeit. Let me enjoy this. I'm so happy that we've got a perfect item Diana. That's all I want. Diana's my favorite champion in League of Legends, so let me have this moment. Okay, now you can take it over. It doesn't matter now.
Okay, well, so... As we established previously, for Sir Salty, they desperately need to get that 3rd damage item to make this whole kit and caboodle worthwhile. You know, they've got the shields, they've got the attack speed buff, they don't have the damage to back up. Against Helix, who's running a ninja composition, we haven't even had a chance to talk about that yet. They actually are making great use of the rapid fire cannon, whereas I feel like for Sir Salty, as they win and make me look like an idiot, they aren't getting as much value out of it as they would from other damage items.
So absolutely you were right, and it looked like that was. The Akali immediately jumped on and just removed a member. But you know who that member was? It was Kindred. You know what that member didn't have? Locket shield. Every other member was able to tank the full Kennen ultimate. She just jumped straight into Kennen and just decided to tank it. That's a little awkward when the only last unit left alive is the target dummy for Xayah, but I guess Xayah always likes to have a bit of target practice towards the end of a fight. Gets that win, and we've got a player sitting on 3 HP that if it was anybody else in the lobby, I might be good to say they're dead and done in the water. But it's
oh boy,
a very special player.
Yes, they've always been here to provide us with maximum entertainment value. I mean, with Stefano also in potential elimination position.
Very true, yeah.
Sir Salty, I think it's a contested comp, and it went badly for Sheer.
I don't want to mention it, but we've got him against them immediately. It comes in, the suck comes through, and the Ornn ultimate is going to be able to knock him up. It won't be, and it goes completely wide. The Diana is able to tank, and our first fatality of our 3rd game is Zai-U Bingsong, a player that we've been seeing some really cool stuff from. They play a very unique style of teamfight tactics, and ooh, we almost lost Self Falador in the same time. I don't know if my heart could have handled that one.
Yeah, it was a real close thing there, but you know, Stefano right now, you know, they are top of the table with 106. They have got that cushion coming into the final week, but you know, obviously you want to be finishing in first if you can to get the maximum amount of prizes. Wait a second, Hermit. We saw them before with the Kale, and of course, what's better than one?
Well, multiple, obviously. And something also of note is Temslaw hasn't dropped his hot streak since I mentioned it slightly earlier. We've had a few fights since then. We're currently at 5-3 and he's still looking good. Hermit coming into this one is not on a hot streak though, and this Jax is tanking up the middle of the front line. Diana is getting kicked around and finally died, but you know who's been able to do work this whole time? It's been this Tristana, and is she able to? She absolutely is.
Oh my gosh, and that's with a 4 Executioner comp as well. The big question, I think, on so many people's minds is Kale still good? We had 2 Kales there being pumped up by Zeeks. Neither of them were fully itemized, so we don't know for certain, but right now, Tristana is strong enough to take both of them down at once.
A huge amount of damage output there. There is a blade there if Sir Salty is able to do it, but he's currently at the top of the table, and it's already been taken by Self Falador. Maybe the perfect item.
There is another Gwynsu's Rage Blade there as well, though we won't be able to keep an eye on this because there's too much scouting going on. I think, actually, no, there's 2 Gwynsu's left over, so...
But they couldn't get a Death Blade, and that's probably the one they really wanted for this Tristana.
In an ideal world, yeah, but at this point, I think Sir Salty's a little suffering from success. They're up at the top of the table. They're pretty much as strong as they're ever going to be, so they're not ever going to get their perfect choice of items.
I didn't want to mention it, but there is one other part of if Sir Salty is able to win here. Omni, I know you're listening. You know what happens if Sir Salty wins. I'm only going to mention this once, but a singing might have to happen on stream. Not this week, but I believe it's scheduled for next week if Sir Salty's able to do it. Anyway, coming into this round, Self Falador is asking more questions as, Helix just also got Golden Akali. That's going to change things up a lot for the rest of this lobby. Thames Lol is here, and this is the fabled Nico.
Yes, an incredibly strong Fabled Nico. So this is the part of the game where Sir Salty should be running into trouble because they don't have the armor penetration to get through the Vanguards. I think it's looking like it might not ultimately matter. It's going to be very close.
Now the suck came through, and because of how the combo works, suck them in. Aatrox and Nico will plant the bomb on top. 1, 2, 3. Sir Salty, you'll lose to Thames Lol. But with that loss also, it means we've seen a multitude of streaks ending. Hermit lost his streak earlier. He lost it last round. Self Falador still hasn't died. And Sir Salty is looking to probably try and get their economy back together as they're currently sitting at 40 gold.
Alright, so at least with the 3rd item on the Tristana, this does give Sir Salty the ability to sit around for a little while and let that economy grow up, because they're still looking towards the very late game where we've got carries like the Aurelian Soul coming into the mix, fully itemized. They are going to blow up that Tristana. She's only got the Quicksilver Protector. She's still a 1-star unit.
Self Falador, will you beat Sir Salty or will you struggle to go? That Samira is a level 2 and she has got that blade that I was talking about, Self Falador, that Sir Salty probably wanted. They're already really low and the Dino was able to just solo her. Self Falador, you're out in 7th place. It's over. You will not be at the top of the table depending on who wins this one. Sir Bob's also had a pretty disappointing game, fell down to 10 HP. Your son also lost as well. Some of our favorites coming into this, and the tournament overall are struggling, and some of the new blood, some of the new players. Sir Salty has been rising through this one, and he's currently leading the lobby.
Well, you know what they say, and I learnt this from my chemistry class in high school. Salt rises at the expense of other elements. I'm pretty sure that's how chemistry works.
I believe it is. Let's have a look at the item check-in, and Frozen Heart isn't really what Sir Salty was looking for.
I mean, at this point, it's not terrible. I mean, as you see, you can put it onto the pike and jump it into the backline where it's going to be next to the opposing carries. So, there isn't a ton left to do. You can still move forward. You've got Sharpshooter. There is a future in which you could potentially go for 6 Sharpshooter if you can bring Samira into the mix. The only thing kind of really holding you back from something like that is that you don't have the items for her.
As we take a look around, Sir Bobs is able to get that Nunu. Thames Lowell actually able to level up that Aatrox, and he is the player with the Nico. Has been rather hot and cold with this Nico, winning some games and looking very decisive, losing against others. As we come against Helix, who's got this Golden Akali that I mentioned to you earlier, and that Janna already died. It's got a rapid fire cannon, but at the moment, guess who just jumped onto that back line? It's that Pyke with the Frozen Heart, was able to stun for ages. It's all going to come down is, can this Tristana do it? And no, rapid fire cannon Akali is too strong.
Yeah, Helix with a 3-star Akali, that is just terrifying stuff. We have not seen very much in the way of ninja comps.
Sir Bob's lost!
Oh no!
6th place out for Sir Bob's. Apologies to cut you off there, Counterfeit. I just saw them lose their HP and go down to -4. Please continue.
No, that is something very much worth interrupting any train of thought. Previous season champion started out this one on 97 points, so close to the top, but this is going to let, as you alluded to before, a lot of other players leapfrog them in the table.
Well, we did mention, obviously, earlier, I said Thames Lowell has the opportunity to leapfrog over and actually do something crazy. Hermit also sitting in that 2nd place spot. If they are able to, I believe, top 4, they will overtake Self-Falador in points. And this is what I meant. This is why so many things can happen as we come into this one. This Tristana has just been AFK, left alone, and she's outputting huge damage and nothing's happened. I wonder what the Ginsu Rageblade and the attack speed on, because she's outputting huge damage. 7k damage came out, and we've seen this before. Awkward target damage practice.
He's gonna kill him! Gonna kill him! Oh, what a fantastic win!
Oh, I feel like the dummy almost was gonna pop the GA. Almost.
It almost did. I think the dummy's got big designs. But to touch back on that previous matchup between Sir Salty and Yasin's Ghost, we saw an excellent demonstration of why keepers are not good against these kind of backline compositions. The area around the center of the field is where the Kennen controls, but anyone who's outside of that view, outside of the Zaya's reach as well, is basically, untouched the entire round. You leave that Tristana stacking up, you're gonna die.
You die. That dummy has to be on the back row because there is a Golden Akali hanging around, so you don't want that going straight onto your carries. And we're against the double KO composition here of Hermit, who has been causing a lot of issues for multiple members in this lobby. The Feathers Fly, they come out, they come back in, but you know who's been left alone this whole time? It's that Tristana I mentioned before. And look at that, she is cleaning up everybody. 11k damage. This little Yordle is finding it with her dragon.
Mortdog, why you do this to us? Tristana was supposed to be fixed! But no, she's still an absolute menace, even with 10 less damage. Who would have thunk it? We're down to our top 4 with Yasin dropping out. Sadly, no more dreams for our keeper comp.
Commiserations out to them, but Sir Salty will have the opportunity to go for the splash. God, never lucky for Sir Salty. I thought we were going to get to see the spatula. He decides to go for this Dragon Tooth. Why would he do this? Why would you do this? Why?
I mean, the straightforward answer is you're afraid of magic damage, and it's an incredible defensive item. You go up against the Kales here, you're looking at a primarily magic damage team.
There is a Kali floating around, right? That's magic damage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there isn't right now an immediately obvious person to put this onto.
There we go.
But this will do, apparently.
Will it do? That'll do. No, we're putting it on our carry that we've already been using for a while. That is just an item holder. Keep them alive for a little bit longer. Maybe the Sivir can ult and find the opportunity. But this is the Assassins. Immediately jump straight onto the Tristana, and she's already gone dead and done in the water. Last time we saw an opportunity for them was because this Tristana was able to AFK and keep attacking. But this time it won't be around, and Helix will get the victory over Sir Salty.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't been seeing Talon in our lobby so far as a kind of backline threat to these backline focused compositions, but Akali, she's fulfilling pretty much the same function here as the Talon would. She's a little bit more methodical in how she works through a composition. She doesn't go straight to your carries, but given enough time, much like the Tristana, she'll still get the job done.
I really would love to see this set be brought in over Oh, I thought we were going to sell the Yone and bring in the set and then have the opportunity of set 2. No,
Whoa!
we just sell something and buy this Yone 2 and you're going to smash whoever you get to face against because Yone 2 is not fair.
No, we're going to be able to shred through, but Temloz is still alive with his big old stack of armor and magic resist.
You know, he hasn't died once yet. He hasn't lost a single time to Sir Salty. The ultimate coming out from Cho'Gath. A full team knock-up. And look at this. The damage is outputting. The suck comes through. And look at this. The Nico just goes 1, 2, 3. Only 2 members left alive. And this looks like it's going to be Temslol staying around for another game to go as Helix lost this round.
Yeah, so Salty just survives, but Helix does not, so that puts them out in 4th. And they did come into this one as one of our lower scoring players. The one with the most to gain here is Hermit, up at 102 points. If they finish strongly here, they take 1st place coming into the final week of the season.
With this item on Shelly. Is it Shelly or Shirley? This is the first Rift Herald, right? So it's Shelly.
I think those are different names.
Oh yes, they do. I learnt this due to the LCK casting. First one is Shelly. Second one is Shirley. That's it. The item rather is far more important. What we were talking, what I was trying to get to, but I did a horrible way of actually getting there. Spirit Sojin.
Yes.
No longer in League of Legends because the item was too strong. Who do we think will take it? Is it going to go onto one of these spirits? I'm thinking maybe the Kindred is a pretty good chat holder of that. Is it maybe going to be coming in as Samira, maybe just putting it on her so she can ult more often? Or is it going to be somebody else? Is it going to be a Yone, for instance, to ult extra opportunity?
I think it's probably at this point got to be the Yone. It would be a fantastic item on the Sivir because of it proccing multiple times with the sharpshooter bounces and letting her ult more frequently, but she's become a buff bot here up against Temloz, who is showing us why we should be thinking about Fable more.
Absolutely, this Fable composition is still yet to lose over to the side of these sharpshooters. However, this time around, the suck comes through, and yet again, it gets comboed with Nico. This composition is flawless against the sharpshooters, and they just struggle to find any opportunity. And this is with a Yone. It's going to come 1, 2, 3. The bubbles pops, and Sir Solly and Temstal takes it all.
That's the way to win the penultimate week of the season. Kill everyone at the same time. Apparently, we were sleeping on Fable, but now everybody else is sleeping in the ground.
Well, we didn't sleep on the fabled counterfeit. We mentioned it in our pre-game lobby, and Temslol takes it down with it all. And what a performance. I'm just kind of amazed what we just saw. That was such a close one towards the end, but it came through. And it shows why the Aatrox is so important in this composition.
Yeah, as you said, Aatrox does absolute overtime in setting up so many different places, so many different compositions. But I think the big difference maker here for Temloz is when nobody else is going for Fable, nobody's taking Nikos for any reason. So getting a 3-star Nico is eminently possible and essential to getting the win.
Well, we still have 3 more opportunities for Sir Salty to get that victory, so we can have the person that runs these tournaments of Omni getting the opportunity to sing on stream, but we won't get to see it yet. Hermit,
he's got the voice of an angel.
He's got a golden Kale, 3-star Kale. How could he not win? He was against a Ghost as well. Like, is this just what Aatrox does? Is this what Fabled compositions do?
Well, yes. I mean, voice of Kale, voice of an angel. Omni Toaster is obviously 3-star to me at all times.
And to me.
But, I mean, this is the thing. Kale got absolutely, this is where the biggest nerf hit Kale was actually at 3-star. She lost a ton of damage off what would normally be an automatic win condition.
We also came to learn that Hermit actually put in chat, I trapped my Kale behind an Azir soldier.
Oh no!
That's kind of their own fault why they lost that one. If they
they didn't have a rapid fire cannon!
No, they didn't. It wasn't a perfect item. They've got a giant slayer at the last item. I mean, let's talk about Sir Soldi. Let's move on from that catastrophe from Hermit. Sir Soldi was able to make this composition work, and we had questions. I mean, specifically, you had concerns over this composition.
Many concerns!
What line those?
I mean, to be fair, I think Sir Salty did a pretty good job of proving me wrong there. The Tristana composition generally isn't going to be a top 1 composition at the best of time because you're always still working with a 1-cost unit, even at 3 stars. So you've got a hard cap there as to how strong you can be. But we've seen it get 2nd, we've seen it get 3rd, even post-nerf. I absolutely think Tristana is a composition a lot of our players and a lot of our viewers should be bringing into their ladder games because you're getting top 4s consistently with it.
We need to talk about some of the few things we haven't seen before. Obviously, Helix playing this assassin comp. This is brand new to us.
Oh yeah, well I mean it's the it's the ninjas. We saw a 3-star Zed and
yeah,
a 3-star
it?
Akali. Noticeable is that the Zed, though making it all the way to 3-star, wasn't really itemized at all. And I wonder if we maybe could have seen more success from Helix if they could have found itemizations for that as well. The Kennen ultimately ended up being the the alternate itemized there, but I think it's a pick that I don't think anyone would have expected coming into this week. I think honestly it did pretty well. We were talking about this before, we didn't see the Enlighten, we didn't see the Talon, even though there was a Talon in the Helix's comp, it wasn't the carry.
And a few other members, obviously, Self-Alador falling out at 2nd place. Very disappointing performance. Okay, Zailu, Bisung, obviously, sometimes they can go in 8th place and then run it all the way up, get over 15 wins in a row, and win a lobby. This time around, they weren't able to do it. Going for that shooter composition, just weren't able to make it work out at the end there. And Sir Bobs, well, they had the 3-star Shyvana. It looked good. It just wasn't quite enough.
Yeah, I mean, they have incredible items there for the Shyvana that she's going to, get the Warmogs multiplied up by her shapeshifting. So I'm surprised to see that go as poorly as it did. I think maybe one of the reasons for Sir Bob's could be just looking at the composition as it stands as they died, is that they don't really have a whole lot of itemized frontline to keep these carries safe.
And with that all said, ladies and gentlemen, it brings us to an end of our coverage of week's number 7. Crazy week that we've gone all the way here, Counterfeit. Granted, I mean, technically it's week 6 for us because double week because of 3 games today. But hey, no, it's week 7. It's week 7. It's week 7. Everybody knows it as that. Next week, because we are over, obviously, we don't have anything coming onto the stream tomorrow, so on the 28th will be Valorant on Sunday, so if you're interested in watching some Valorant content, definitely we're the place to come and watch that. JP, a fellow caster of mine, originally on the Newell over in Magic the Gathering Arena, way back when we were running those tournaments. Obviously, if you'd like to hear more tournaments, go over to the Newell Discord, check us out. The links are always down below. Obviously, we couldn't do this coverage, Counterfeit, with certain sponsors of ours, and that's Logitech G, Unite students, and Twitch students. What's been some of your big takeaways from these 3 games? 3 games for us.
Well, I mean, it's this is certainly going to be a very, very small preview of what we can be expecting seeing from seeing it next week on our final week of play, and of course for the World Championships themselves coming later on. So I think it's fantastic to be in this kind of situation here, to see our players on the pretty much on the day of a hotfix coming in and throwing absolutely everything at the wall to try and make it stick. I think Steph Alador is the one coming out of this one with so much of a target on their back. I think that really came into play in the 3rd game in particular, but in the last week of play, those last 3 games, that decides everything.
We will have to see that. You will be joined by Evi Perun and Aladar to bring you those last 3 games of coverage where everything will be decided. But from myself, Counterfeit, and Poggers Patrick in production, thank you, Patrick, for all your assistance. We have been the Newell, and thank you so much for watching. Don't go, bye-bye.